Good evening, visitors. Welcome to my library. And of course, the first thing we do when we start our reading is we go into the reading room here, which we were already in. We're re-entering the reading room. We're going to go to the book poster, and we're going to get our new poster out for Beowulf. Here we go. And I do wish that that would like retain the same size that it's always had. That would be handy, but we can just do that. That's fine. There we go. It's always been that size. We all know this. It's a fact. It's a fact of life. And the reading book. We'll get a new reading book. We have. We can't read Lord of the Flies. Or Lord of the Flies. Either one. We can't do that. But I do have my copy of Beowulf here. So here we go. Story of Beowulf. That's totally not the chapter. I may have the wrong book. Anyhow, this is the one we're going to read. This one is actually one that has been modified for modern prose. It kind of like the original is like poetry. I do not like poetry. I am not a poetry guy. I don't like the cadence or the compromises with words that have to be made in order to jam your narrative in and around extra grammatical rules that don't need to exist. That's my opinion. Anyone who disagrees with me is welcome to, but they still have to suffer the same things that I don't like to have to suffer. So, I guess. Joke's on you? Question mark? Yeah, suffer the thing that you like. Haha. There you go. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyhow, save that. Do this. We're going to stay in the appropriate reading position for today. That can be closed. Awesome. Awesome. We're like 5 away from 140 followers. I like the first 100 followers were like, no, crazy. The first 25 followers felt like it took forever to get, and it did take quite a few, like a couple of months, didn't it? And that was with friends and family being harassed and bothered and bullied into making an account and adding a follow and then never paying attention again. It does seem to ramp up. It does a little bit, yeah. And now it's only been like half a year, a little over perhaps. And we're at 135, closing in on 140. You stop paying attention after a little while. After my first 100, I was like, all right, that's cool. Now I'm just going to chill and stream and do as I please. And here we are, making slow but steady progress. Right, yeah, right. Now it's just a number. All I need now is for Gura, or I guess Saba, to show up and raid my stream. Problem solved. Problem. It's a big problem, yes. All right. Here we go. The Story of Beowulf by Ernest J.B. Kirtland, Chapter 1, The Prelude. Now we have heard, by inquiry, of the glory of the kings of the people, they of the Speardanes, how the Aethelings were doing deeds of courage. Full often Skuld, the son of Skilled. We're going to call him Skilled, the son of Scaf, with troops of warriors, withheld the drinking stools from many a tribe. This earl caused terror, when at first he was found in a miserable case. Afterwards he gave help when he grew up under the welkin, and worshipfully he flourished until all his neighbors over the sea gave him obedience and yielded him tribute. He was a good king. In after time there was born to him a son in the court, whom God sent thither as a savior of the people. He saw the dire distress that they formerly suffered when for a long while they were without a prince. Then it was that the Lord of Life, the wielder of glory, gave to him glory, Famous was Beowulf. Far and wide spread his fame. Ere was he of the skilled in the land of the Danes. It is skilled. It could be. It's like SCYLD. I know that's not necessarily pronounced the way I think it is. Thus should a young man be doing good deeds, with rich gifts to the friends of his father, so that in later days, when war shall come upon them, boon companions may stand at his side, helping their liege lord. For in all nations, by praiseworthy deeds, shall a man be thriving. At the fated hour, skilled passed away, very rigorous in spirit to the keeping of his lord. Then his pleasant companions carried him down to the ocean flood, as he himself had bidden them, whilst the friend of the skilledlings was wielding words, he who was as the dear lord of the land had ruled it for a long time. He who was as the dear lord of the land. Okay. And there in the heaven stood the ship, with rings at the prow, icy and eager for the journey, the ferry of the XVIII. Then they laid down their dear lord, the giver of rings, the famous man, on the bosom of the ship, close to the mast, where the heaps of treasures, armor, trappings that had been brought from far ways. Never heard I of a comelier ship, decked out with battle weapons and weeds of war, with swords and baronies, and byronies? Byronies. In his bosom they laid many a treasure when he was going on a far journey, into the power of the sea. Nor did they provide for him less of booty and of national treasures than they had done, who at the first had sent him forth all alone over the waves, when he was but a child. Then, moreover, they set a golden standard high over his head, and let the sea take him, and gave all to the man of the sea. The man of the sea, that's like, is Poseidon in this pantheon? I don't remember. Full sad were their minds, and all sorrowing were they. No man can say soothly, no, not any hall ruler, nor hero under heaven, who took in that ladding. There are, by the way, an absolute boatload of footnotes. There is an appendix at the end of this story that the author believes that you should be checking as you go along. I don't think I shall be, though. I'm quite happy to read on in ignorance. That is Greek? Okay, yeah, there we go. Anyhow, Chapter 2, the story. Moreover, the Danish Beowulf, the dear king of his people, was a long time renowned amongst the folk in the cities. His father, the prince, had gone a-faring elsewhere from this world. Then there was born to him a son, the high, Helfden. Dane is D-E-N-E. I'm gonna make the internet say this word to me. So I'm actually kind of interested in it. This, I think, is going to happen a lot in our stream. Okay, let's go. Pronunciation. How to pronounce this word. Halfdena. Okay, it's Halfdena, according to the internet. It must be right. So let's see. Then there was born to him a son of the high Halfdena. And when he lived, he was ruling the happy Danish people, and war fierce and ancient was he. 4 children were born to him, Heroegar, the leader of troops, and Hrothgar, and Halga, the good. And I heard say that Queen Ellen, wife of these fucking names, wife of Angenthewau, was his daughter, and she became the beloved comrade of the Swede. Then to Hrothgar was granted good speed in warfare and honor in fighting, so that his loyal subjects eagerly obeyed him, until the youths grew doughty, a very great band of warriors. Doughty? Doughty. It's Doughty-Y, yes. Doughty was probably fine. Then it burned in his mind that he would bid men be building a palace, a greater mead hall than the children of men had ever heard of, and that he would therein distribute to young and to old, as God gave him power, all the wealth he had saved all the wealth that he had saved the share of the folk and the lives of men. Okay, he's going to leave everyone all the wealth that he had, save the share of the folk and the lives of men. Okay, giving his people stuff except his people. Then I heard far and wide how he gave commandment to many a people throughout all the world, this work to be doing, and to deck out the folkstead. In due time it happened that soon among men this greatest of halls was now all ready, and Heart he called it, whose word had great wielding. He broke not his promise, but gave to them rings and treasures at the banquet. The hall towered on high, and the gables were wide between the horns, and awaited the surging of the loathsome flames. Not long time should pass ere hatred was awakened after the battle slaughter, twixt father-in-law and son-in-law. Then it was that the powerful sprite who abode in darkness scarce could brook for a while that daily he heard loud joy in the hall. There was sound of harping and the clear song of the bard. He who knew it was telling of the beginning of mankind, and he said that the Almighty created the world and the bright fields surrounded by water, and exulting he set the sun and the moon as lamps to shine upon the earth dwellers, and adorned the world with branches and leaves. And life why is he capitalized? And life he was giving to every kind of living creature. So noble men lived in joy, and were all blessed, till one began to do evil, a devil from hell. And this grim spirit was called Grendel, Grendel, and he was a march stepper, who ruled on the moorlands, the fens, and the stronghold. For while he kept guard, this unhappy creature, over the land of the race of monsters, since the Creator had proscribed him. On the race of Cain, the eternal Lord brought death as vengeance when he slew Abel. Nor did he find joy in the feud, but God for the crime drove him far thence. Thus it was that evil things came to their birth, giants and elves and monsters of the deep. Likewise those giants who for a long while were striving with God himself, and well, he requited them. Yeah, it's Grendel. Yeah, my brain put an extra E after the Gren. He being the maker? Oh, okay, that would make sense. In life, he giving to, yeah, that would, like, he was the one giving life to living creatures. My brain's like, well, if they're living creatures, do they still need more life? And that's like, nice. It's my computer science brain. Oh, weird. We're in part 2, chapter 1. Okay, that's weird because they're both in Roman numerals. So chapter 1 was still the story. But now we have chapter 2. Then he went visiting the high house after nightfall to see how the ring Danes were holding it. And he found there a band of aethelings sleeping after feasting. And they knew not sorrow or the misery of men. The grim and greedy wight of destruction, all fierce and furious, was soon ready for his task and laid hold of 30 thanes, all as they lay sleeping. And away he wended, faring homeward and exulting in the booty, to revisit his dwellings full of slaughter. At the dawn of the day, the war craft of Grendel was seen by men. Then, after his feeding, they set up a weeping, great noise in the morning. The glorious lord, the very good Atheling, sat all unblithely, and suffered great pain, and endured sorrow for his thanes, when they saw the track of the loathly one, the cursed sprite. That struggle was too strong, loathsome, and long. And after but one night, no longer time was it, he did them more murderable. Murder bale. Oh, it's murder. Yes, not able. He did them more murder bale, and recked not a whit the feud and the crime. Too quick was he therein. Then he who had sought elsewhere more at large a resting place, a bed after bower, was easily found when he was shown and told most truly, by the token so clear, the hate of the hell thane. He went away farther and faster, he who would escape the fiend. So he ruled and strove against right, he alone against all of them, until the best of houses stood quite idle. And a great while it was. The friend of the Danes suffered distress, and sorrows that were great, the time of 12 winters. If anyone is confused, I am here with you. I haven't a clue what the hell is going on. And the sentence structures, the English is not impossible to follow, but the sentences seem like they're talking out of thin air with no context whatsoever. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this one. Then was it made known to the children of men by a sorrowful singing that Grendel was striving this while against Hrothgar, and waged hateful enmity of crime and feud for many a year with lasting strife, and would hold no truce against any man of the main host of Danes, nor put away the life bale, or settle feud with a fee, nor did any man need to hope for brighter bettering at the hand of the banesmen. The terrible monster, a dark death shadow, was pursuing the youth and the warriors, and he fettered and ensnared them, and ever was holding night after night the misty moorlands. And men not know ever whither workers of hell runes wander to and fro. That was a sentence. And, comma, men know not even whither workers of hell runes wander to and fro. I guess that means we all don't know where all the demons are going. Why couldn't they just say that? Thus the foe of mankind, the terrible and lonesome traveler, often he did them even greater despite. Despot. And he took up his dwelling in the treasure-decked hall of heart in the dark night. Nor could he come near the throne, the treasure of God, nor did he know his love. So he took up his dwelling in the treasure-decked hall of Hark in the dark of night, but nor could he come near the throne treasure of God. So he's in the hall but can't go to the side with the chair in it? And then here's like this random jab, nor does God love him. Haha, sucker. Purgatory? Or purgati? Or purgati? And great was the evil to the friend of the Danes, and breakings of the heart. Many a strong one sat in council, and much they discussed what was best for the stout-hearted men to do against the fearful terror, And sometimes they went vowing at their heathen shrines and offered sacrifices, and with many words pleaded that the devil himself would give them his help against this menace to the nation. For such was their custom, the hope of the heathen. And ever of hell they thought in their hearts. The Creator they knew not, the judge of all deeds, nor knew they the Lord God. Nor could they worship the protector of the heavens, the wielder of glory. Woe be to that man who shall shove down a soul through hurtful malice into the bosom of the fire, and who hopes for no help, nor for any change. Well shall it be with that one who after his death shall seek the Lord and desire protection in the embrace of the Father. Hello, Christian influence. Don't bug me about your spelling. Fair. Chapter 3. Beowulf, son of Halfdan. Oh dear, I've already forgotten. Halfdan. Beowulf, son of Halfdan, ever was brooding over this time care, nor could the brave hero avert woe. That conflict was too strong, loathsome and long, that terrible and dire distress, the greatest of night bales, which came to the people. Then the Thane of Hygelac? Okay, we're looking this one up too. Hygelac. Halfdan. And let's see, pronunciation, right. How to pronounce this word. I don't care about your ad. Hygelac. The G is basically silent. Then the Thane of Hygelac, the good man of the Geats, heard from home of the deeds of Grendel, and on the day of his life he was the strongest of main of all men in the world. Noble was he and powerful. He bade a fair ship be made, and said that he would be seeking the War King, the famous prince, over the Swan Path, and that he needed men. And the proud churls little blamed him for that journey, though dear he was to them. They urged on the valiant man, and marked the omen. The good man of the Geats had chosen champions of those who were keenest, and sought out the ship. And one, a sea-crafty man, pointed to the landmarks. Time passed by. The ship was on the waves, the boat under the cliff, and the warriors all readily went up to the stern. And the currents were swirling with sea and sand. And the men were carrying on to the naked deck bright ornaments and splendid war armor. Then they shoved forth the ship that was well bound together, and it set forth over the waves, driven by the wind. This foamy-necked ship, likest to a bird, until about the same time on the next day. The ship, with its twisted stern, had gone so far that the sailing men could see the land, the shining sea cliffs, the steep mountains, and the wide sea nesses. The sea nesses. The wide sea. That's hilarious. C-NESSES. And the wide sea nesses. Okay. I'm sorry, that tickles me. Then they crossed the remaining portion of the sea. The Geats went up quickly onto the shore and anchored their ship. War shirts and war weeds were rattling, and they gave God thanks for their easy crossing of the waves. Then the ward of the Swedes, who kept guard over the sea cliffs, saw them carry down the gangways the bright shields and armor all ready. And full curious thought tortured him as to who these men were. He, the Thane of Hrothgar, rode down to the beach on his charger and powerfully brandished the spear in his hand and took counsel with them. Who are ye armor-bearers protected by the Bryarnies? The Bryarnies? I'm going to find out this word. How to say this word now? All this pronunciation is your fault, Valena. Bryarnies. Okay. Bryarnies. Protected by Bryarnies, who come here thus bringing the high vessel over the sea, and the ringing ship over the ocean. Or the ringed ship over the ocean. I am he that sits at the end of the land and keep the sea guard, so that no one more loathsome may scathe with the ship army the land of the Danes. Never have shield bearers begun to come here more openly, yet ye seem not to know the password of warriors, the compact of kinsmen. Nor ever have I seen a greater earl upon earth. Never have I seen a greater earl upon earth than one of your band, a warrior in armor. And except his face belie him, he that is thus weapon bedecked is no hallman, but a peerless one to see. Now must I know your lineage before you go farther with your false spies in the land of the Danes. Now, O ye far dwellers and seafarers, hear my onefold thought. Haste is best in making known whence ye are come. Chapter 4. Then the eldest gave answer, and unlocked his treasure of words, the wise one of the troop. We are of the race of the Geats, and Hearth comrades of Hylak. It's Hylak. My father was well known to the folk. A noble prince was he called, XVIII. Can I just make all G's silent? That's kind of interesting. I want to know how this is pronounced out too. You know how many tabs I have open right now? Pronunciation. Give me the fucking XXIII. It's XXIII. Okay. A noble prince he was called XXIII, and he bided many winters, ere as an old man he set out on his journeys away from the dwelling places. And well nigh every counsellor throughout all the world remembered him well. We threw bold, thinking have come to seek thy lord, the son of Hilfdene. The protector of the people. Vouchsafe to us good guidance. We have a great business with the lord of the Danes, who is far famed. Nor of this shall aught be secret, as I am hoping. Well, thou knowest, if 'tis true, as we heard say, that among the Danes some secret evildoer, I know not what scather, by terror doth work unheard of hostility, humiliation, and death. I may give counsel through greatness of mind to Hrothgar as to how he, the wise and good, may overcome the fiend, if ever should cease for him the baleful business and bettering come after, and his troubles wax cooler, or forever he shall suffer time of stress and miserable throes, while the best of all houses shall remain on the high stead. Hands up, who understood that? I need to have a hands up command now. Then the watchman, the fearless warrior, as he sat on his horse, quickly made answer. The shield warrior, who is white, of course you would understand this, Valana. Yeah. The shield warrior, who is wide awake, good, because he's on a fucking horse, shall know how to tell the difference between words and works, if he well bethink him. If he well bethink him. All right, this is someone talking. That's fair. He's just mocking him now. I can see that this band of warriors will be very welcome to the Lord of the Danes. Go ye forth, therefore, bear weapons and armor, as I will direct you, and I will command my thanes to hold against every foe your ship in honor, new tarred as it is, and dry on the sands, until it shall carry the dearly loved man, that ship with the twisted prow, to the land of the Geats. To each of the well-doers shall it be given to escape scot-free out of the battle rush. Then they went forth, carrying their weapons, and there the ship rested, fastened by a rope, the wide-bottomed vessel. Secured by his anchor. The boar held lifeward, bright and battle-hard, and adorned with gold, over the neck-guard of the handsome Beowulf. There was snorting of the warlike minded, whilst men were hastened, as they marched on together till they caught sight of the splendid place decked out in gold. And it was the most famous of palaces, under the heavens of the earth-dwellers, where the ruler was biding. Its glory shone over many lands. Then the dear one in battle showed them the bright house, were the brave ones, that they might straightway make their way towards it. Then one of the warriors turned his horse round, and spake this word. Time it is for me to go. May the Almighty Father hold you in favor, and keep you in safety in all your journeyings. I will go to the sea coast to keep my watch against the fierce troops. Chapter 5. The way was paved with many colored stones, and by it they knew the path they should take. The coat of mail shone brightly, which was firmly hand-locked. The bright iron ring sang in the armor as they came on their way in their warlike trappings at the first to the great hall. Then the sea-weary men sat down their broad shields, their shields that were wondrous hard against the wall of the great house, and bowed towards the bench. The byrnies were rattling, the war weapons of men. And the spears were standing in a row together, the weapons of the seamen and the spear grey above. The spear grey above, maybe like grey metal, is what the color of the metal is. Together, the weapons of the seamen and the spearmen. Yeah, anyways. And the troop of armed men was made glorious with weapons. Then the proud chieftain asked the warriors of their kindred, From whence are ye bringing such gold-plated shields, grey sarks and helmets with visors, and such a heap of spears? I am the servant and messenger of Hrothgar. Never saw I so many men prouder. I trow it was for pride, and not at all for banishment, but for greatness of mind that Hrothgar ye are seeking. Everything's a damn brag in this story, isn't it? Then answered the brave man, the chief of the Geats, and spake these words, hard under helmet. We are the comrades at table of Hylak. We are the comrades at table of Hylak. Hiliak. It's Hiliak, right? It's Hiliak. We are the comrades at table of Hiliak. Beowulf is my name. I will say fully this is my errand to the son of Halfdeni, the famous chieftain, unto thy lord and master, if he will grant us that we may salute him who is so good. You know what? I think trying to pronounce all these names is taking away from my understanding of the story. Oh, here's a word here's the name of. Then spake Wulfgar. I didn't think I thought he was in the Forgotten Realms world. Yeah, Toril, right? Citizen of Toril. What the hell is he doing here? Then spake Wulfgar. He was prince of the Wendels. He gets around. His courage was known to all, his valor and wisdom. I will make known to the prince of the Danes, the lord of the Skeldings. I want to say Skyldings. I'm going to say Skyldings from now on. The giver of rings, the famous chieftain, as thou art pleading about thy journey, and will make known to thee quickly the answer which he, the good man, thinks fit, seems fit to give me. Quickly he turned then to where Hrothgar was sitting, old and very grey, with his troop of earls. The brave man then went and stood before the shoulders of the lord of the Danes. Well, he knew the custom of the doughty ones. Wulfgar then spoke to his lord and friend. Here are come, faring from a far country over the wide sea, a people of the Geats. Maybe it's the Geats. I'm going to say Geats from now on. A people of the Geats. And the eldest, the warriors called Beowulf. And they are asking that they may exchange words with thee, my lord. O glad man Hrothgar, do not refuse to be talking with them, for worthy they seem in all their war weeds. In the judgment of earls. At least he is a daring prince who hither hath led this band of warriors. These are very short chapters. Like 6,000 time indexes. Chapter 6. Oh, hang on. For some reason, I had disties. Anyways. Then spake Hrothgar, the protector of the Danes. Well, I knew him when he was a child, and his old father was called XXIII. XXIII? It's XXIII, yeah. And his old father was called XXIII. And to him did Hrethel of the Geats give his only daughter. And his son is bravely come here and hath sought out a gracious friend. Then said the seafarers, who had brought the goodly gifts of the Geats there for thanks, that he, the battle brave, had in his hand grip the main craft of 30 men. And the holy God hath sent him for favour to us West Danes, and of this I have hope, gainst the terror of Grendel. I shall offer the good man gifts for his daring. Now make thou haste and command the band of warrior kinsmen into his presence. Hello, Silver Lightning. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. We do have ads starting soon. It's great timing. We do break for them. We'll pause. They last 3 minutes. Give us an hour of reading time. We're going to do those. We're going to stand up, stretch a little bit, and we'll be right back to talking about one of these characters who is speaking to another. All right, we continue. Let's see. All the English words? Yeah, these are English words for sure. They're all familiar, exactly. So far, no urge to cancel them just yet. Where are we then? There we go. Now make thou haste and command the band of warrior kinsmen into the presence. Bid them welcome to the people of the Danes. Then went Wulfgar even to the hall door, and spake these words. My liege lord, the prince of the East Danes, commands me to say that he knows your lineage, and ye who are bold of purpose are welcome hither over to the sea waves. Now may ye go in your war weeds under your visored helmets to see Hrothgar. Is it necessary to describe the type of helmet or that they're wearing helmets? Let your swords stay behind here, the wood and the slaughter shafts, and the issue of words. Then the prince rose up, and about him as many a warrior, a glorious band of thanes. And some bided there, and held the battle garments, as the brave man commanded. And they hastened together under the roof of Hrothgar, as the man directed them. The stout-hearted man went forward, hard under the helmet, till he stood by the dais. Hard under the helmet. Then Beowulf spake, and the byrnie shone on him, the coat of mail soon sewn by the cunning of the smith. O Hrothgar, all hail! I am the kinsman and comrade of Hylak. Okay, yes. Many marvels have I set on foot in days of my youth. The affair of Grendel was made known to me in my native land. Seafarers told how this best of all palaces stood idle and useless to warriors, after evening light came down under the brightness of heaven. Then my people persuaded me, the best and the proudest of all my earls, O my lord Hrothgar, that I should seek thee, for thy well knew of my main strength. For they themselves saw how I came forth bloodstained from the power of the fiend, when I bound the five, and destroyed the giant's kin, and slew mongst the waves sea monsters by night, and suffered such dire distress, and wreaked vengeance for the strife of the Geats, for woe they were suffering, and I destroyed the fierce one. And now all alone I shall settle the affair of Grendel, the deadly monster, the cruel giant. And one boon will I be asking, O prince of the bright Danes, thou lord of the Skaldings, protector of warriors and friend of the folk, that thou wilt not refuse, since so far I am come, that I and my troop of earls, this crowd of brave men, may alone cleanse out heart. Or hate. There's no E. It's just H-A-R-T. That's important to point out, I feel. Don't ask me why. I have heard say also that the monster, because of his rashness, recks not of weapons. His rashness recks not of weapons. And if Hylak of the blithe-minded will be my liege lord, I will forego to carry to the battle a sword, or broad shield all yellow, but I will engage by my hand grip with the enemy, and strive for life, foe with foe. And he whom death taketh shall believe in the doom of the Lord, and I doubt not he will fearlessly consume the people of the Geats, if he may prevail in the war hall as he has often done with the strong men of the Danes. And thou shalt not need to hide my head if death take me. God. For he will seize me all bloodstained, and will bury the slaughtered all bloody, and will think to taste and devour me alone, and without any sorrow, and will stain the glens in the moorland. And thou needest not to sorrow longer over the food of my body. And if battle take me, send to Hylak this best of coats of mail, the noblest of garments. It is the heirloom of Hrethel, the work of Wieland, and let weird go as it will. I've come to your hall. You guys are sucking. You're worthless. You keep getting beat up. I will go out and take care of the doohicker. And you don't need to worry, because if he beats me, well, he'll just eat me and he won't bother you. For sure, right? That's exactly how. Because I will tell you the thoughts of the others and how they think. It's how my battles normally go, and how I endear myself to those around me. Chapter 7. Hrothgar gave answer, the protector of the Danes. O my friend Beowulf, now thou hast sought us for defense and for favor. Thy father fought in the greatest of feuds. He was banesman to Heathloaf? To Heathloaf. To Heatholf. I'm going to say Heatholf. Amongst the wifelings. The wheelfings? Probably the wheelfings. The wifelings. When for battle terror the king of the Geats could not hold him. Thence he sought the folk of the South Danes over the welter of waves. Then first was I ruling the Danish folk, and in my youthful days possessed the costly jewels, the treasure city of heroes. Then Hrothgar was dead. My elder brother not living was he, the child of oh, I keep forgetting this one. Halfdenny. It's Halfdenny. Brother not living was he, the child of Halfdenny. He was a better man than I was. Then a payment of money settled the matter. I sent to the Wylfings ancient presents over the sea ridges, and he swore to me oaths. And it is to me great sorrow in my heart to tell any man what Grendel hath done in heart through his malice of humiliation and sudden horror. My hall troop has grown less. The crowd of my thanes weird has swept them towards the terror of Grendel. But easily may the good God restrain the deeds of the foolish scather. And drunken with beer the warriors full often boasted o'er the ale cup that they would bide in the beer hall the battle of Grendel with the terror of swords. Then was the mead hall all blood-stained in the morning when dawn came shining, and all the benches were wet with gore, the hall with sword blood. And so much the less did I rule o'er dear doughty ones whom death had taken. Now sit down to the banquet and unbind thy thoughts, thy hopes to the thanes, as thy mind inspires thee. Then was the room made in the beer hall for the Geats all together. And there they went and sat down, the strong-hearted men proud of their strength. And a thane waited on them, who bore in his hands the ale cup bedecked, and he poured out the sparkling mead, while the clear-voiced bard kept singing in heart. There was joy to the heroes, and a very great gathering of Danes and of Geats. To find my chapter marker. Chapter 8. Spake then Unferth, the son of Eglaf, who sat at the feet of the lord of the Danes, and opened a quarrel. For the journey of Beowulf, of the brave seafarer, was vexation to him, for he could not brook that ever any other man than himself should obtain greater fame in all the earth. What, said he, art thou that Beowulf who didst contend with Breca, the strovest of the mastery in swimming o'er wide seas, when ye two for pride were searching the waves, and for foolish boasting risked your lives in the deep waters? No man could dissuade you from that sorrowful journey, neither friend nor foe, when ye two swam in the sea, when ye two enfolded the waves with your arms and measured the seaways, and brandished your arms as you glided o'er the ocean. The sea boiled with waves, the wintry whelming. And for 7 nights long ere were toiling in the stress of seas. But he o'erpowered thee in swimming, the greater strength had he. Then at the morning tide the sea bore him up to the land of the Heathorimes. The Heathorimes? Or Heathorimes. A big-ass long word. Thence he was seeking the friend of his people, his own dear country, the land of the Brondings, the fair city of refuge where he had his phone folk and a city and rings. The son of Beanstan soothly fulfilled his boasting against thee. So do I deem it a worse matter, though. Thou art everywhere doughty in the rush of battle and grim warfare, if thou shalt be daring to bide near Grendel a long night space. A night long space. Then Beowulf spake, the son of XXIII, It's XXIII. It's XXIII. That's right. The son of XXIII. What? My friend Unferth, drunken with beer, many a times thou art saying about that Brecca, and talkest of his journey. But soothly I tell thee that I had the greater strength in that swimming, and endurance in the waves. We two agreed when we were youngsters, and boasted, for we were both still in the days of our youth, that we were in the ocean would be risking our lives. And so indeed we did. We had a naked sword hard in our hands when we were swimming. We too were thinking to guard us against whale fishes. Nor over the sea waves might he be floating a whit far from me, more quickly on the waters. Then we together were in the sea for the space of 5 nights until the flood. The boiling waters drove us asunder, and the coldest of weather and the darkening night, and a wind from the north battle grim turned against us, and rough were the waves. And the mind of the mere fishes was stirred when my shirt of mail that was hand-locked gave to me help against the foe. The decorated battle robe lay on my breast all adorned with gold. And the doomed and dire foe drew to the bottom, and fast he had me grim in his grip. Still to me was granted that I reached to the monster with the point of my sword, and the mighty sea deer carried off the battle rush through my hand. There was a fight at sea, and apparently they wear armor when they swim. Don't do that at home, kids, or in the ocean for that matter. Chapter 9. So then evildoers did often oppress me, and I served them with my dear sword, as was most fitting. Not at all of the feasting had they any joy. Evil destroyers sat round the banquet at the bottom of the sea, that they might seize me. But in the morning, wounded by my sword, they lay up on the foreshore, put to sleep by my weapon, so that they hindered no more the faring of the seagoers. Light came from the eastward, the bright beacon of God. The waves grew less, that I could catch sight of the seanesses, the windy walls. Weird often saveth the earl that is undoomed when his courage is doughty. Nevertheless, it happened that I slew with my sword 9 of the sea monsters. Nor have I heard under vault of heaven of a harder night struggle, nor of a more wretched man on the sea streams. Still I escaped from the grasp of the foes with my life, and weary of the journey. When the sea bore me up on the flood tide, on the welling of waves, to the land of the Finns. Nor have I heard concerning thee of any such striving or terror of swords. Brecca never yet, nor either of you two did such a deed with shining sword in any battle gaming, not that I will boast of this too much. Yet wast thou the slayer of thy brother, thy chief kinsman, and for this in hell shalt thou suffer a curse. Though thy wit be doughty, I soothly tell thee, O son of Eglaf, that Grendel, that hateful monster, never had done such terrors to thy life and humiliation in heart, if thy mind and thy soul were as battle fierce as thou thyself dost say. But he has found that he needed not to fear the feud, the terrible sword thrust of your people, the Danes. He taketh forced toll, and spareth none of the Danish people, but joyfully wageth war, putteth them to sleep, and feedeth on them, and expecteth no fight from the Danes. But I shall ere long offer him in war the strength and the courage of the Geats. Let him go who can go to the mead hall, who can go to the mead, all proudly when morning light shall shine from the south, another day over the children of men. Then in the hall the giver of rings was grey-haired and battle-brave. The prince of the Danes was hopeful of help. The guardian of the folk fixed on Beowulf's his firm-purposed thought. There was laughter among heroes, din resounded, and words were winsome. Wealhtheow went forth, the queen of Hrothgar, mindful of kinship and decked out in gold. She greeted Beowulf in the hall, and then the lovely wife first proffered the goblet to the lord of the East Danes, and bade him be blithe at the beer drinking, he who was dear to all his people. And gladly he took the banquet and hall cup, he the victorious king. The lady of the Helmings went round about every one of the youthful warriors, and proffered the costly cup, until the time came that the ring-adorned queen, most excellent in spirit, bore the mead cup then to Beowulf. She, the wise in words, greeted the Geats and gave thanks to God that she had her desire, that she might trust in any earl for help against such crimes. He gladly received it. He, the battle-fierce warrior from the land of Wealhtheow, and then began singing, inspired by a warlike spirit. Hello, Sunflower. Thank you for the hello and the lurk. Beowulf spake, the son of XVIII. I had intended at once to work out the will of this your people when I set forth over the sea and sat in my sea boat with a troop of my people, or that I would fall in the slaughter fast in the fiend's grip. I shall yet acquit myself as befitteth an earl, or in the mead hall awaiteth my last day. And well, the lady liked the words, and boasted of the Geat, and that lovely queen went all decked out in gold to sit by her lord. Then mighty words were spoken in the hall as before by the people in joyance, and and the noise of the victors, until the son of Healfdene straightway would be seeking his evening rest. They're not victors yet, and he knew that a battle was doomed in the high hall to the monster when no longer they could see the light of the sun, or darkening night came stalking over all the shapes of shadows. The troop of warriors rose up. The lord greeted the other. Hrothgar greeted Beowulf and wished him good health, and the warding of that wine hall, and he spake the word. Since the time that I could lift my hand or my shield, never have I given the mighty hall of the Danes into the care of any, except now to thee. Have now and hold thou this best of houses. Be thou mindful of honor, and show thyself courageous and waitful against foes. Nor shalt thou lack joy if thou escapest from that brave work with life. Chapter 10. Then Hrothgar departed with his troop of heroes. He, the prince of Scyldings, out of hall went he, for the battle chieftain would be seeking out Wealhtheow, his queen, that they might go to rest. I'm gonna look that word up too. I just know I'm saying it wrong. Pronunciation. Are you the dumb one? There we go. Really? Whale tail. Well, Teo. Teo. Well, Teo. This time the H is silent. Both of them. I hate this language. Dear Lord. All right. For the battle chieftain would be seeking out Wealhtheow, his queen, that they might go to rest. The glory of kings had appointed a hall award, as men say, against Grendel. Modern English. This is not modern English. A Thane was in waiting on the prince of the Danes, and his watch was keeping against the giant. The lord of the Geats readily trusted the proud strength, the favor of God. Then doffed the iron coat of mail and his helmet from his head, and gave his sword, bedecked, the choicest of weapons, to a Thane that was serving, and bade him to hold ready his armor. Then the good man spoke some words of boasting. I reck not myself meaner in war powers, and I reck not myself meaner in war powers and works of battle than Grendel doth himself. For I will not with sword put him to sleep and be taking his life away, though well I might do it. He knows not of good things, that he may strike me or hew my shield, though brave he may be in hostile working, but we too by right will forbear the sword if he dare be seeking warfare without weapon. And then God, all-knowing, the Holy Lord, shall adjudge the glory on whichever side he may think meet. Then the bold in fight got him to rest, and the pillow received the head of the earl, and many a keen sea warrior lay down on his bed in the hall about him. None of them thought that None of them thought that he thence would ever seek another dear home, folk or free city where he was a child, for they had heard that fell death had taken, ere this too many, in that wine hall of the people of the Danes. But the Lord gave weavings of war speed to the people of the Geats, both comfort and help, so that they all overcame their enemies through the craft of one man, and by this might so that they all overcame their enemies through the craft of one man, and by his might only. And truly it is said that God Almighty doth wield forever the race of men. Okay, yeah, everyone's doing God's plan. Then came in the wan of night the shadow goer gliding. Warriors were sleeping when they should have been keeping guard over that palace, all save one only. All save one only. It was well known to men that their constant foe could not draw them into shadowy places when the Creator was unwilling. But he, ever wakeful, in angry mood, and fierce indignant against the foe, was waiting the issue. Hello, Queen. Oh, Hydrate, thank you. And thanks for the lurk. Thank you very much. Chapter 11. Then came Grendel, stalking from the moors among the misty hill slopes, and he bore God's anger. And the wicked scather of humankind fully intended to ensnare a certain one in the high hall. So he wended his way under the welkin to where he knew that the best of wine halls, the gold hall of man, was adorned with gold plating. It's a very rich place. There's gold everywhere. Nor was that the first time that he sought out the home of Hrothgar, nor ever in former or later days did he find a harder welcome from hall thanes. Then the creature, bereft of all joy, came to the great hall, and the door, strongly bound with fire bands, soon sprang open at his touch. And the evil-minded one in his fury burst open the door of the palace. And soon after this the enemy, angry in mind, was treading over the doomed floor, and a fearsome light streamed forth from his eyes likest to a flame. And he could see many a warrior in that palace, a troop of peace lovers asleep together, a company of kinsmen. And he laughed aloud. Then the terrible monster fully intended to cut off from life every one of them there, when he was expecting abundance of meat. But that fate was not yet, that he should lay hold of any more of humankind after that night. Then did Beowulf, kinsman of... Stop quoting names. Hygelac. Then did Beowulf, kinsman of Hygelac, see the dire distress, how the wicked Scather would fare with sudden grip. Nor did the monster think to delay, but at first he quickly laid hold of a sleeping warrior and tore him to pieces all unawares, and bit at the flesh and drank the streaming blood, and devoured huge pieces of flesh. And soon he had eaten up both feet and hands of the man he had killed. Really? Start with like a flank or something. Like ribs? Ribs are great. And soon he had eaten up both feet and hands of the man he had killed. Then he stepped up to the great-hearted warrior, where he lay on the bed, and took him in his hands. He reached out his hand against the enemy, and quickly received him with hostile intent, and sat upon his arm. The keeper of crimes soon was finding that he never had met in all the quarters of the earth amongst other men a greater hand grip. And in mind and heart he was fearful, and eager to be gone and to flee away into the darkness to seek the troop of devils. But that was not his fate, as it had been in days of yore. Then the good kinsman of... I just said this word. Hygelac, remembered the evening talk and stood upright and laid hold upon him. His fingers burst. The giant was going forth, but the earl stepped after. The famous one intended to escape more widely, howsoever he might, and to flee on his way thence to the sloping hollows of the fens. That journey was sorrowful, which the harmful Scather took to heart. The lordly hall resounded, and great terror there was to all the Danes, the castle dwellers, to each of the brave. And both the mighty guardians were fiercely angry. The hall resounded, then it was Then was it great wonder that the wine hall withstood the bold fighters. And I gotta scroll up, of course. The bold fighters, and that it fell not to the earth, that fair earth dwelling. But very firm it was standing, cunningly shaped by craft of the smith, within and without. Then on the floor was many a mead bench, as I have heard tell, decked out with gold, where the fierce ones were striving. I see an alert. Well, thank you for the follow, Shumi. Nor did the wise Danes formerly suppose that any man could break down a hall so noble and decorated with antlers, or cunningly destroy it, unless the bosom of flame swallowed it up in smoke. The roaring went up now enough, and an awful terror came to the North Danes, to each of those who heard weeping from the ramparts the enemy of God singing a fierce song, a song that was empty of victory, and the captive of hell lamenting his sorrow. For he that was strongest of men in strength held him fast on the day of his life. Valana assures me she understands half of what I'm saying. That makes one of us. Chapter 12. The Prince of Earls would not at all let go alive the murderous comer, nor did he count his life as of use to any of the peoples. Thank you, I'm glad I'm doing better. But the last few sentences were kind of like, seemingly disconnected in my brain. Everyone has 12 different names or things they're referred to as, and sometimes we learn about how they're the son of something, of someone, sorry. And it's just, my brain's like, this is not very concise, and I'm very critical of that. I know it's a story. Conciseness is not necessarily required, but it does help people understand things. Let's see. The Prince of Earls would not at all let go alive the murderous comer, nor did he count his life as of use to any of the peoples. That doesn't make any sense at all. You wouldn't let him go, therefore you are very much use. Yeah, I don't want to imagine how it was in Old English. This feels like Old English. I don't know why people call this modern. Most of it's modern, I'll give you that. And many an Earl of Beowulf's brandished the old heirloom. Many an Earl of Beowulf's brandished. So lots of people who are Earls here with Beowulf, which I didn't think Beowulf brought Earls, brandished the old heir. So many of them are brandishing a singular thing. That doesn't make sense. See how that doesn't make sense? And many an Earl of Beowulf's brandished the old heirloom, and were wishful to defend the life of their far-famed liege lord. So maybe they died one after the other, if they might do so. And they knew not when they entered the battle, they the hard-thinking ones, the battle men, and they thought to hew on all sides, seeking out his spirit. Most of the words are updated, but some of the sentence structure likely couldn't be. Yeah. Perhaps. Just perhaps. And they thought to hew on all sides, seeking out his spirit, that not any choice iron over the earth, nor any battle weapon could be greeting the foe, but that he had forsworn all victorious weapons and swords. And miserable should be his passing on the day of this life, and the hostile sprite should journey far into the power of devils. Then he found out that he who did crimes long before this with mirthful mind to humankind, he who was a foe to God, that his body would not last out, but the proud kinsman of Hygelac had him in his hands. And each was loathsome to the other while he lived. The terrible monster swore with wounds was waiting. Sore with wounds was waiting. The gaping wound was seen on his shoulder. His sinews sprang open, and the bone lockers burst. And great victory was given to Beowulf. Thence would Grendel, mortally wounded, flee under the fen slopes to seek out a joyless dwelling. The more surely he knew he had reached the end of his life, the number of his days. Joy befell all the Danes after the slaughter rush. So he had cleansed the hall of Hrothgar, he who had come from far, the proud and stout-hearted one, and saved them from strife. He rejoiced in the night work and in the glorious deeds. His boast he had fulfilled, this leader of the Geats, which he made to the East Danes, and likewise made good all the distresses and the sorrows which they suffered of yore from the foe, and which through dire need they had to endure the distresses not a few. And when the battle-brave men laid down the hand, the arm, and shoulder under the wide roof, that was the manifest token. Sometimes it just feels like a word salad. Chapter 13. Then in the morning, as I have heard say, was many a battle warrior round about the gift hall. Came the folk leaders from far and from near along the wide ways to look at the marvel. Nor did his passing seem a thing to grieve over to any of the warriors of those who were scanning the track of the glorious wight. How weary in mind he had dragged along his life steps, on the way thence doomed and put to flight, and overcome in the fight at the lake of the sea monsters. There was the sea boiling with blood, the awful surge of waves all mingled with hot gore. The death-doomed one died in the lake when, void of joys, he lay down his life in the fen for refuge, and hell received him. Thence, after departed the old companions. Likewise, many a young one from the joyous journeys proud from the lake to ride on mares, the youths on their horses. And there was the glory of Beowulf proclaimed. And many a one was saying that no man was a better man, no, none in the whole wide world under the arc of the sky, of all the shield bearers, neither south nor north, by the two seas. Nor a whit did they blame in the least their friend and lord, the glad Hrothgar, for he was a good king. Meanwhile, the famed in battle let the fallow mares leap and go faring forth to the contest, where I'm hiccuping a lot. Where the earthways seemed fair unto them, and well known for their choiceness, and the thane of the king, he who is laden with many a vaunt, and was mindful of songs, and remembered a host of very many old sagas, he found other words, but bound by the truth. And a man began wisely to sing the journey of Beowulf, and to tell skillful tales with speeding that was good, and to interchange words. He told all that he ever had heard concerning Sigmund. Oh, that's a space marine. Really good with the sword. Ever he had heard concerning Sigmund, with his deeds of courage, and much that is unknown, the strife of Whalesing, and the wide journeys which the children of men knew not at all, the feud and the crimes, when Fitela was not with him. When he would be saying, so there's all of a sudden like 8 new names that are seemingly unrelated to anything we've covered so far. So I'm a little flustered. Can see where many of the names are. Yeah, so you can definitely see how this is source material for a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool. Sigmund and Wulfgar kind of like the primary two that pop out to me so far. He told all that ever he had heard concerning Sigmund, with his deeds of courage, and much that is unknown, the strife of Whalesing, and the wide journeys which the children of men knew not at all, the feud and the crimes, when Fitela was not with him, when he would be saying any of such things, the uncle to the nephew, for always they were comrades in need at all the strivings. There was like 47 commas in that sentence. That's bad comma usage. Like, and semicolons, it's crazy. They had laid low very many of the giants' race by means of the sword. And after his death day, a no little fame sprang up for Sigmund, when he, the hard in battle, killed the worm, the guardian of the horde. He alone, the child of the Atheling, hazarded a fearful deed under the grey stone. The grey stone? Nor was Fitela with him. Fitela doesn't seem to be with anyone these days. Still it happened to him that his sword pierced through the wondrous worm, and it stood in the wall, that doughty iron, and the dragon was dead. So this literally worm is W-O-R-M. You really feel like it should be worm. And so this monster had gained strength in that going. This monster had gained strength in that going so that he might enjoy the hoard of rings by his own doom. He loaded the sea boat and bore the bright treasures onto the ship's bosom, he the son of Wales. Or Wheels. It's W-A-E-L-S. Might be Wheels. Yeah, that was obviously a dragon what clued me off is when it said the dragon was dead. But like my first inclination was like, oh, he killed a worm, like a purple worm from D&D, like a giant worm is what I thought. Why can't that just be a monster? It's a crazy, scary monster. The worm melted hot. He was okay. That's a standalone sentence, right? Fair enough. He was of wonders, the most widely famous in deeds of courage amongst men, the protectors of warriors. He formerly throve thus. Then the warfare of Hermod, the warfare of Hermod was waning, his strength and his courage, and he was betrayed among the giants into the hands of the foes, and sent quickly away. And too long did whelming sorrow vex his soul. He was a source of care to his people, to all the nobles, and many a proud churl often was lamenting in former times the way of life of the stout-hearted, they who trusted him for the bettering of bales, that the child of their lord should always be prospering, and succeeded to his father's kingdom, and hold the folk, the hoard and city of refuge, the king of heroes, the country of the Danes. Sorry, I paused too long there. Yeah, like I said, there's just like so many commas, I'm not sure where to pause. And hold the folk, the hoard and city of refuge, the kingdom of heroes, the country of the Danes. But Beowulf, Higelac kinsman, was fair to all men, but crime assailed Hermod. Who is Hermod? As a name that suddenly showed up. We haven't heard this one before, I don't think. I don't know why I'm scrolling up. Sometimes they passed along the fallow streets contending on mares. Then came the light of morning and hastened forth. And many a stiff-minded messenger went to the high hall to see the rare wonder. Likewise the king himself, the ward of the hoard of rings, came treading all glorious and with a great smile, forth from the bridal bower, and choice was his bearing. And his queen with him passed along the way to the mead hall with a troop of maidens. Chapter 14. Hrothgar spake. I guess we're suddenly in the hall. He went to the hall and stood on the threshold and saw the steep roof all decked out with gold and the hand of Grendel. Let thanks be given quickly to God for this sight, said he. Often I waited for the loathsome one, for the snares of Grendel. May God always work wonder after wonder, he the guardian of glory. It was not long ago that I expected not a bettering of any woes forever, when, doomed to blood, this best of all houses stood all stained with gore. Now has this hero done a deed, through the power of the Lord, which none of us formerly could ever perform with all our wisdom. Lo! Any woman who gave birth to such a son among humankind may say, if she yet live, that the Creator was gracious unto her in bearing of children. Now, O Beowulf, I will love thee in heart as my son. Hold well to this new peace, nor shall there be any lack of joys to thee in the world, over which I have power. Full oft I for less have meted out rewards and worship gifts to a meaner warrior, one weaker in strife. Thou hast framed for thyself mighty deeds, so that thy doom liveth always and forever. May the All-Wielder ever yield thee good, as he now doth. He dotheth now. Beowulf spake, the son of XXIII. We framed to fight that brave work with much favor, and hazarded a deed of daring in the might of the unknown. I quickly gave you to see the monster himself, the enemy in his fretted armor ready to fall. I thought to twist him quickly with hard grip on a bed of slaughter so that he should lie in the throes of death because of my hand grip, unless he should escape with his body. But I could not cut off his going when the Creator willed it not. I cleft him not readily. That deadly fiend. He was too strong on his feet. Nevertheless, he left behind his hand as a life protection to show the track, his arm and shoulders. But not by any means thus did that wretched creature get any help, nor by that did the evildoer brought low by sin live any longer. But sorrow hath him in its fatal grip closely encompassed with baleful bands. There shall a man covered with sins be biding a mickle doom as the shining Creator will prescribe. Right. Shining Creator will subscribe to my channel. What is a mickle? It's like a pickle with ice. Mickle. What is a mickle? Very large. Large in amount or quantity. Okay. Big. Biding a large doom as the shining. Yes, yeah, so yeah, modern language, I think not. Then was the man silent, the son of Eglaf. Eglaf, yes. In his boasting speech about deeds of battle, when the aethelings looked at the hand high upon the roof, by the craft of the earl and the fingers of the foe, there before each one. And each of the places of the nails was likest to steel, the claw of the heathen, the uncanny claw of the battle warrior. Every one was saying that no very good iron of any of the brave ones would touch him at all, that would bear away thence the bloody battle hand of the monster. Chapter 15. Then was it bidden that hearts should be decked by their hands on the inside. And many there were the men of wives who adorned that wine hall, the guest chamber. And the tapestries shone along the walls, brocaded with gold, many a wonderful sight for every man who stareth upon them. And that bright dwelling was greatly marred, though within it was fast bound with iron, yet the door hinges had sprung apart. The roof alone escaped all safe and sound when the monster turned to flight, despairing of life and doomed for his crimes. Nor will it be easy to escape from that fate, whosoever may try to, but he shall get by strife the ready place of the children of men of the soul-bearers who dwell upon the earth, by a fate that cannot be escaped where his body shall sleep after the banquet fast in the tomb. More word salad. Then was the time for Aelfdani's son to go into the hall, when the king himself would partake of the banquet. Nor have I ever heard tell that any people in greater numbers bore themselves better about their treasure-giver. And the wealthy ones sat down on the bench and rejoiced in their feeding. And full courteously their kinsmen took many a mead cup. They, the stout-hearted Hrothgar and Hrotholf. Okay, nope, we're doing this again. Go and look at another one. Pronunciation. I don't care, Julian. Hrothulf. This time the H is silent. There are no I hate English. I understand why people who are learning English hate English. I think this is that feeling. Rolfulf. Hrothgar. Or maybe it's Hrothgar. Maybe there is no frickin' H there. They, the stout-hearted Hrothgar and Rolfulf in the high hall. And within was heart, maybe that's just art, filled with friends. And by no means were the Danes the while framing treacheries. That's not a sentence. Then the son of Healfdene gave to Beowulf the golden banner, the decorated staff banner as a reward for his conquest, and the helm and the byrnie. And many a one saw the youth bear in front the bejeweled sword. Beowulf took the cup in the hall, nor did he need to be ashamed of the fee gift in the presence of warriors. Nor have I heard tell of many men giving to others on any ale bench 4 gifts gold decked in friendlier fashion. The outside rim wound with wires gave protection to the head on the outer side around the crown of the helmet, so that many an heirloom could not hurt fiercely the helmet that was hardened by being plunged in cold water when the shield warrior should attack the angry one. The protector of earls commanded 8 horses to be brought in under the barriers, with bridles gold-plated, and a vari-colored saddle was fixed upon one of them, decked out with treasures. And this was the battle seat of the High King, when the son of Healfdene would be doing the swordplay. Never in the van did it fail the warriors so wildly kenned when the helmets were falling. Then the prince of the Danes gave to Beowulf the wielding of them both, the horses and weapons, and bade him well enjoy them. And thus in many fashion the famous chieftain, the treasure guardian of heroes, rewarded the battle onslaught with horses and treasures, so as no man can blame them, whoever will be saying rightly the truth. I feel like the author is trying to make excuses for accepting gifts for doing the deed that Beowulf just accomplished. Like, in the back of their mind, they feel that they need to be sort of defensive against judgment, which suggests to me that they feel like there is something that needs to be judged. Very strange. Chapter 16. Then the Lord of Earls, as he sat on the mead bench, gave glorious gifts to each one of those who had fared with Beowulf over the ocean ways, and heirlooms they were, and he bade them atone for that one with gold whom formerly Grendel had wickedly killed, as he would have done more of them, unless Almighty God and the spirit of Beowulf had withstood weird. The Creator ruleth all of humankind, and still he is doing. And good understanding is always the best thing, and forethought of mind. And he who long enjoys here the world in these strife days shall be biding both pleasant and loathsome fate. Then was there clamor and singing together in the presence of the battle prince of Healfdene, and the harp was sounded, and a song often sung, when Hrothgar's scop would tell forth the hall mirth as he sat on the mead bench. We're only like 27%, like 25% of the way through this stupid thing. Sorry, this is a stupid thing. I hate this story. It's painful. When fear was befalling the heirs of Finn, the hero of the Halfdanes, and Hanalf of the Danes must fall in the slaughter of the Frisian people. Yeah, you should be sorry for that. This is your fault. Not in the least did Hildebert need... Who are these people? Not in the least did Hildebert Bertha need to be praising the Trolleth of the Jutes. For sinlessly was she deprived of her dear ones in the play of swords of children and brothers. By fate they fell wounded by arrows, and she was a sad woman, nor without reason did the daughter of Hawk mourn their doom. Why wouldn't you mourn their doom? Worry about it after ads? Oh yeah, we do have ads. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I think I'm done worrying about it. I'm going to do ads. We'll be back soon. Hey, where were we? Doesn't matter. We can start reading wherever. No context necessary. When the morning light came, and she could see under the sky for the murder of her kinsman, where she before in the world had the greatest of joy. For warfare took away all the thanes of Finn, except a mere remnant, so that he could not, in the place where they met, fight with any warfare at all with Hengest, nor seize from the prince's thane the woeful leavings by fighting. But they offered him terms, so that they all made other room for them on the floor, and gave them halls and a high seat, that they might have half the power with the children of the Jutes, and the son of Folkwalda, honored of the Danes every day with fee givings, and bestowed rings of the troop of Hengest, even great treasures plated with gold. Whoa, hold up, guys. Brace yourself. Sit down. They're even getting treasures plated with gold. Can you believe that? Mind blown. So that he would be making the kin of the Frisians bold in the beer hall. Then they swore on both sides of a treaty of peace. That you pay for was not a treaty of peace. Finn swore with the Hengest and all without strife that he held in honor the woeful remnant by the doom of the wise men, and that no man there by word or work should break the treaty, or ever annul it through treacherous cunning, though they followed the slayers of the ring-giver, all bereft of their lord as was needful for them. But if any one of the Frisians by daring speech should bring to mind the murderous hate between them, then should the edge of the sword avenge it. Yeah, don't you dare speak of the past, we will kill you for it. Then sword was that oath, and massive gold was lifted up from the hoard. Then was Hanaf the best of the warriors, of the bold Danes, ready on the funeral pyre. And the blood-stained shirt of mail was easily seen, the golden boar in the midst of the flame, the iron hard boar. And many an atheling destroyed by wounds, some fell on the field of death. Then Hildebert, it's B-U-R-H, sorry, Hildebert, commanded her very own son to be thrust in the flames of the pyre of Henef, his body to be burned and put in the fire. That's what happens when you put him in the fire. Yes, that's right. And great was the mourning of the mother for her son, who, was he dead already, or did she thrust him in live? Because then, my opinion changes based on that. Who was the son? Who was the son? Okay, I can't find. I'm stuck. Okay. He was dead already. Well, that's really a good point that he's dead already. It really changes the story. I don't know who she is and who the son is, and I don't even really know who she is. So, anyways, and Dirge lamenting as the warrior ascended. Ascended, apparently. And the greatest of slaughter fires wound its way upwards towards the welkin and roared before the cavern. Heads were melting, wounds burst asunder, then blood sprang forth from the wounds of the body, flames swallowed all, that most cruel of ghosts, of both of those folk whom battle destroyed, their life was shaken out. And it was strictly necessary for the story to describe to you how the bodies were burned. Chapter 17. Then the warriors went forth to visit the dwellings which were bereft of friends, and to look upon the land of the Frisians, the homesteads, and the high town. And Hengest was still dwelling with Finn, that slaughter-stained winter, all bravely without strife. And he thought on the homeland, though he could not be sailing his ringed ship over the waters. He thought, okay, the sea boiled with storm and waged war with the wind. And winter locked up the ice-bound waves till yet another year came in the court, as still it doth, whichever guards the seasons and the glory bright weather. Then winter was scattered, and fair was the bosom of the earth, and the wanderer strove to go, the guest from the court. And much more he thought of vengeance for the feud than of the sea voyage, as to how he could bring about an angry encounter, for he bore in mind the children of the Jutes. The Utes? Is there a silent letter somewhere here too? So he escaped, not the lot of mortals, when Hunlafing did on his arm the best of swords, the flashing light of the battle, whose edge was well known to the Jutes. And dire sword bale after befell the fierce-minded Finn, even in his very own home, when Gulaf and Olaf, I think that's the silent S, isn't it? Lamented the grim gripe of war and the sorrow after sea journeyings, and were charging him with his share of the woes. Nor could he hold back in his own breast his fluttering soul. Then again was the hall adorned with the bodies of foemen, and Finn was also slain. Time to mute the frickin' not bedtime. There we go. Phone. Muting the phone. Where was I? Let's see. Vengeance, feud, sea voyage. Yeah, I have no idea. Fluttering soul. Okay, whatever. Here we go. Then again was the hall adorned with the bodies of foemen, and Finn was also slain. The king with his troop, and the queen was taken. And the warriors of the Dane carried to the ships all the belongings of the Earth King, such as they could find in the homestead of Finn, of ornaments and jewels. They bore away also the noble wife Hildibur down to the sea away to the Danes, and led her to her people. So a song was sung, a lay of the gleemen, and much mirth there was, and great noise from the benches, and cupbearers offered wine from wondrous vessels. Then came forth Queen Wealhtheow, in her golden circlet, where the two good men were sitting, the uncle and his nephew. And still were they in peace together, and each true to the other. Likewise, Unferth, the spokesman, sat there at the foot of the lord of the Danes, and each of them trusted Unferth's good heart, and that he had a great soul, though he was not loyal to his kinsmen at the sword play. What that means sounds like a contradiction to me. Then spake the queen of the Danes, "Take this cup, O my liege lord, thou giver of rings, be thou right joyful, thou gold friend to men. Do thou speak mild words to the Geats, as a man should be doing. Be glad of thy Geats and mindful of gifts. Now thou hast peace both near and far. But there is one who told me that thou wouldst have the battle hero for thy son. Now heart is all cleansed, the bright hall of rings. Enjoy whilst thou mayest many rewards, and leave to thy kinsmen both folk and a kingdom when thou shalt go to forth to look on eternity. So go forth to look on eternity. I know my glad Hrothulf will hold in honor his youth if thou, O Hrothgar, the friend of Danes, dost leave the world earlier than he. I ween that he will yield good to our children if he remembers all that has passed, how we too worshipfully showed kindness to him in former days when he was but a child. Then she turned to the bench where were her sons Hrothgar and Hrothmund, and the children of heroes, the youths all together. There sat the good man Beowulf of the Geats by the two brothers. Chapter 18. And the cup was borne to them, and a friendly invitation given to them in words, and twisted gold was graciously proffered him. 2 arm ornaments, armor and rings, and the greatest of neck rings, of which I heard tell anywhere on earth. Near heard I of better hoard jewels of heroes under the sky, since Hama carried away the Brasinga men. To the bright city, ornaments and treasure vessel. It was he who fled from the cunning plots of Eormanric. It's Eormanric. If the E is silent, who knows? And chose eternal gain. Hygelac of the Geats. No, there's no G. Hygelac. It's not right either, but of the Geats next had the ring. He was related to someone, I think. Isn't he the father of Beowulf? I forget. He who was the grandson of Swerting. When under the standard he protected the treasure and defended the plunder. And Weird carried him off when he, because of pride, suffered woes, the feud with the Frisians. Then carried he the jewels, the precious stones over the sea. He who was the ruling prince, and he fell under shield. And the life of the king and the coat of mail and ring together came into possession of the Franks. And worse warriors plundered the slaughter after the war. And the corpses of the Geats held the field of death. The hall resounded with the noise when Wealhtheow spake these words in the midst of the court. Enjoy this ring, dearest Beowulf, and use this coat of mail, these national treasures, and good luck befall thee. Declare thyself a good craftsman, and be to these boys gentle in teaching, and I will be mindful of thy guerdon, for that thou hast so acted that men will esteem thee far and near forever and ever, even as widely as the sea doth encompass the windy earth walls. Be a noble atheling as long as thou livest. I give thee many treasures. Be thou kindly indeed to my sons, joyful as thou art. For here is each earl true to his fellow, and mild of mood, and faithful to his liege lord. Thanes are gentle, the people all ready. O ye warriors who have drunk deep, do as I tell you. She went to the seat, where was a choice banquet, and the men drank wine. They knew not Weird, the fate that was grim, as it had befallen many an earl. Then evening came on, and Hrothgar betook him to his own quarters, the prince to his resting place, and a great number of earls kept guard over the palace as often as they had done in former days. They laid bare the bench board and spread it over with beds and bolsters, and one of the beer servants, eager and fated, went to his bed on the floor. And they sat at his head war shields that were bright. Good, they're bright. That might make it hard to sleep, though. And over the atheling, there on the bench, was easily seen the towering helmet of the ringed Byrne, the glorious spear. It was their wont to be ready for war at home and in battle, at whatever time their lord had need of them. The season was propitious. Chapter 19. Then they sank down to sleep, and sorely some of them paid for their evening repose, as full often it had to happen to them since Grendel came to the Gold Hall and did evil, until an end was made of him, death after sins. Yep, death's kind of the last thing you end up doing, really. It was easily seen and widely known to men that the Avengers survived the Loathsome One for a long time after the war sorrow. A woman, the mother of Grendel, a terrible wife, bore in mind her woes. She who was fated to dwell in the awful lake in the cold stream, since Cain became a sword slayer to his only brother, his father's son. See, that's what your brother is, right? Your father's son, yeah. Well, I guess it could be like your mother's son, but not your father's son. That's possible too. He then went forth, marked for the murder, and fled from human joys, and dwelt in the waste. Would you flee from human joys, Jesus Christ? And thence he awoke many a fatal demon, probably with bright shields. And Grendel was one of them, the hateful, fierce wolf who found the man wide awake, awaiting the battle. And there was the monster at gripes with him. And yet he remembered the main strength, the wide and ample gift which God gave to him, and trusted in the favor of the Almighty for himself, for comfort and help by which he vanquished the enemy and overcame the hell sprite. Right, there was a sprite in there somewhere. Then he departed, abject, bereft of joy, to visit the death place, he, the enemy of mankind. Well, a few people in halls, really, kill each other just as much. But his mother, greedy and sad in mind, would be making a sorrowful journey that she might avenge the death of her son. She came then to Hart, where the ring Danes were asleep in that great hall. Then soon there came misfortune to the earls when the mother of Grendel entered the chamber. Yet less was the terror, even by so much as the craft of maidens, the war terror of a wife is less than that of men beweaponed. When the sword hard bound and forged by the hammer and stained with blood cuts the boar, the helmet of the foe with its edge. Then in the hall the hard edge was drawn, the sword over the seats, and many a broad shield heaved up fast by the hand. And no one heeded the helmet, nor the broad shield when terror seized upon them. She was in great haste. She would go thence her life to be saving when she was discovered. Quickly, she had seized one of the aethelings fast in her grip, when forth she was fleeing away to the fenland. Was she running or... Anyways. He was to Hrothgar the dearest of heroes. In the number of his comrades by the two seats, a powerful shield warrior whom she killed as he slumbered, a youth of renown. Beowulf was not there. To another, the place was assigned after the treasure gift had been bestowed on the famous Geat. Then a great tumult was made in Hart, and with bloodshed she had seized the well-known hand of Grendel her son, and care was renewed in all the dwellings. Nor was that a good exchange that they on both sides should be buying with the lives of their friends. It's all word salad, it's all meaningless. Then was the wise king, well, not all of it. Mom came, took back the hand of her son, a naughty boy who, was causing trouble, and ran away, and some people were scared, and there was killing, I guess, I don't know, but she was afraid somehow, and she won, and she ran away. Also other things. There, that's the summary of the last paragraph. Then was the wise king, the hoar battle warrior, rough in his mood when he came to know that the dearest of his chief thanes was dead and bereft of life. and Beowulf quickly was fetched into the bower, he, the man, all victorious. And at the dawning went one of the earls, a noble champion, he and his comrades, where the proud man was waiting to see whether the all-wielder will ever be causing a change after woe spells. After woe spells, and the battle-worthy man went along the floor with his band of followers. The hallwood was resounding, apparently, so that he greeted the wise man with words, the lord of the Danes, and asked him if he had had a quiet night in spite of the pressing call. I'm at a point with this story where I'm just parroting the words. I'm really frustrated with this story. We may not continue it after tonight. It's just making me angry. Half of it doesn't make sense. Context shifts like crazy all over the place every so often. New words, characters just keep popping out of the woodwork. And yeah, I have this vague understanding of where the story has been, but often I don't know how it got to some of those places. In the beginning, we started off, the Danes were being harassed by a monster. Beowulf showed up, bragged about how cool and strong he was, and then killed Grendel with his bare hands. Some wars happened, rewards were given, everything was gold, and then Mom showed up, killed somebody, took the hand of her son, which was being, put on show as a trophy in the Great Hall that I think is called Heart, and then she just took off. Beowulf, for some reason, wasn't there at that time. Mind you, I kind of figured Beowulf would go home, but I guess you don't do that. And that's where we are. And that has been 19 chapters. 19 chapters, and what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. We've been reading for 2 hours. We've been reading for 2 hours. I'm exhausted with this story. And all we've done is cover like 3 plot points. This is a horrible, horrible story. And on we go. That's my honest reaction. Chapter 20. Hrothgar spake. He, the lord of the Danes, ask not after our luck, for sorrow is renewed to the folk of the Danes. Here's another just random person. Someone is dead, the elder brother of another person. He was my counselor and my rune teller, my shoulder companion when we in the battle protected our heads. When troops were clashing and helmets were crashing, he was what an earl ought to be, a very good atheling. Such a man was that first person, and a wondering slaughter guest. A slaughter guest. That's got to be more than just like, hey, come visit me and kill some people, right? The slaughter guest was his handslayer in heart. I know not whither that dire woman exalting and carrion, and by her feeding make famous went on her journeys. She was wreaking vengeance for the feud of thy making when thou killedst Grendel by yesternight, in a violent way, with hard grips, because all too long he was lessening and destroying my people. He fell in the struggle, gave his life as a forfeit, and now comes another, a mighty man-scather. It's one word, man-scather, was a hyphenated word, to avenge her son. And the feud hath renewed, as may seem a heavy-hearted woe to many a thane who weeps in his mind over the treasure-giver. Now layeth low the hand which availed you well for every kind of pleasure. I heard land-dwellers and hall councillors and my people say that they saw 2 such monstrous march-steppers, alien sprites holding the moorland, and one of them was in the likeness of a woman as far as they could tell, the other shapen wretchedly, trod the path of exiles in the form of a man, except that he was greater than any other man. He whom in former days the earth dwellers called by name Grendel. They knew not his father, whether any secret sprite was formerly born of him. They kept guard over the hidden land, and the wolf slopes the windy nesses, the terrible fen path where the mountain streams rush down under mists of nesses, the floods under the earth. And it is not farther hence than the space of a mile, where standeth the lake, over which are hanging the frosted trees, their wood fast by the roots, and shadowing the water. And there, every night, one may see dread wonders, fire on the flood. And there liveth not a wise man of the children of men, who knoweth well the ground. Nevertheless, the heath-stepper, a strong-horned hart, when pressed by the hounds, seeketh that woodland. When put to flight from afar, ere on the hillside, hiding his head, he gives up his life. They're just random words. Nor is that a canny place, for thence the surge of waters riseth up wan to the welkin, where stirred by the winds, the loathsome weather, until the heaven darkens and skies weep. Now is good counsel depending on thee alone. Thou knowest not the land, the terrible places where thou couldst find the sinful man. Seek it if thou darest. I will reward thee for the feud with the old world treasures, so I did before, with twisted gold, if thou comest thence on thy way. Someone said that, by the way. That's speech from somebody. I think Hrothgar spake. Yeah, he, Lord of the Danes, he was talking earlier. Just a big speech? No, the speech stopped somewhere. Somewhere. Where is... It's all single quote garbage too. Inferior to the double quote. Big, huge difference. I know that whole chapter is just Hrothgar speaking. There's like 8 words at the beginning that are not him speaking. Yeah, I guess the rules, like, so at the end of the paragraph, I guess they didn't close the talking, and the next paragraph you open with another quote, and then at the end of the speech, it closes the quote. Okay, well, let's just go with that one. See, I understand it. I hate it. Chapter 21. Beowulf spake, the son of XVIII, sorrow not, O wise man, it is better for each one to avenge his friend, when he is much mourning. Each one of us must wait for the end of his world life. Let him work who may, ere the doom of death come, that is afterwards best for the noble dead. What about the ignoble? I guess the ignoble goes to hell, the noble goes to... Arise, O ward of the kingdom. Let us go forth quickly to trace out the going of Grendel's kinswoman. I bid thee do it, for neither in the bosom of the earth, nor in force of the mountains, nor by ways of the sea, go where she will, shall she escape into safety. Do thou this day be patient in every kind of trouble, as I also hope to be. The old man leapt up and gave thanks to God, the mighty Lord, for the words of Beowulf. You know what? This would be way more interesting before the influence of Christianity, if this story even existed before then. Like, they had other gods that were way more interesting to read about. I was brought up in a Christian home. I'm probably just bored to death of it. Then was bridled a horse for Hrothgar. Oh, I'm muted? That's terrible. I was just saying, like, the word wise keeps popping up throughout the story. All our heroes or whatever. So you heard me coughing then when I was trying to mute me coughing, but Yeah, I do hate it so much, and it's all there's all these like there's a lot of self-aggrandizing. So like all of our heroes, all of our main lords and stuff. Oh, why is this? Oh, generous. Oh, good person. Oh, and so like wise just keeps popping up, and my brain is like, I wonder if wise means something other than like just a person who is wise, who has a lot of wisdom. Because in my opinion, from my perspective, in my world, wisdom is not a brag. It's a quality that someone has, at least within some sort of context, that should be admired and valued. But it's not a brag, like the old or long lived. Okay, that makes it more sensible in my brain. I was thinking, like, is this some sort of appearance thing or some other sort of like other characteristic? And so old or long lived makes a lot more sense. Like wizened kind of is the word that pops into mind. All right, that's sure. Here we go. Let's back up a couple of words then, because apparently I was muted. Then was bridled a horse for Hrothgar, a steed with twisted hair. And as a wise prince he went forth in splendid array. The troop of shield warriors marched along, and the traces were widely seen in the forest ways, the goings of Grendel's mother over the ground. Forwards she had gone over the murky moorlands, and had borne in her grasp, bereft of his soul, the best of the thanes who were wont to keep watch over Hrothgar's homestead. Forwards she had gone over the murky moorlands. So Grendel's mom taken off over the moorlands, and she had something in her grasp. Bereft of his soul. Grendel's soul? So she has something that would otherwise have his soul, his hand perhaps, or part of his body. The best of the thanes who were wont to keep. Where did that come from? The best of the things. So people, the best of these people. Now, from the sentence, that means in her grasp is the best of these people who wanted to keep watch over Hrothgar's homestead. So not Grendel, but mom has like one of the warriors who is keeping watch over Hrothgar's, like their body, their dead body, bereft of his soul. That's my understanding of that sentence, and that took like 10 hours to figure out. I feel better though. Then Beowulf, the eightling's child. By the way, sorry to everyone who wanted just like a clean reading of this. That is apparently not happening tonight. We're being angry at this story. Then Beowulf, the eightling's child, stepped o'er the steep and stony slopes and the narrow pathways, and the straightened single tracks, an unknown way, by the steep nesses. Nesses is its own word. I assume it's a type of terrain, by the steep nesses, which can then also be applied to sea. So is it like a bunch of hills, perhaps, because the sea, very disturbed sea, can look like it has a bunch of hills, and of course, you can have very steep hills. So that's I could look it up. I'm going to look it up. We need to know what nesses means. It's important. Synonym 11 similar words. Okay, nope. Let's go nesses definition. There's one meaning for the word: a strip of land projecting into a body of water. Okay, so in this case, a sea nesses would just be like outcrops into water or something, into a sea. Sure. And in this case, steep nesses is like a bunch of, like, say, near cliffs. Perhaps also cliffs. I'm not sure. Maybe they would just say cliffs. I haven't seen them say cliffs yet. And by many a sea monster's cavern. A lot of those. And one of the wise men went on before to seek out the path, until all at once he found some mountain trees. Oh, all at once he found some mountain trees overhanging the grey stones, a forest all joyless. And underneath was a water all blood-stained and troubled. Why is it, like, do you understand how much blood would have to be in there? And a grievous thing it was for all the Danes to endure, for the friends of the Scyldlings, for many a thane, and distressful to all the earls, when they came upon the head of, oh, this is the first person. Their name is like Asherik. Asherik? It's probably Asherik, in my opinion. This is the first person I noted as a person on the cliffs above the sea. He's not didn't last very long. Why pronounce the name? The flood boiled with blood, and with hot gore, the folk looked upon it. As in brackets, the folk looked upon it. And at times the horns sounded a battle song, ready prepared. Just at times. Every so often, get ready for battle. All the troops sat down, just the opposite of what you do when the horn blares, and many kinds. She's slaughtering all the people. Like, at that particular moment, like, and many kinds of serpents they saw in the water. You know what? Like water snakes, ocean snakes, hella venomous. Yeah, you don't want to piss around with those. And wonderful dragons searching the sea. And on the cliff slopes, monsters of the ocean were laying at full length, who at the morning tide often make a woeful journey on the sail path, and snakes and wild beasts they could also see. Sorry, they could see also. And these living things fell down on the path, all bitter and angry when they perceived the noise and the blast of the war horn. It's a powerful war horn. And the prince of the Geats killed one of them with his bow and arrows, and ended his wave strife. He was having strife with waves, and he was in the sea, slower at swimming as death swept him away. And on the waves by fierce battle hard pressed, and with boar spears savagely barbed, the wondrous sea monster was assailed in the struggle and drawn up on the headland. And men were looking at the awful stranger, and Beowulf put on him his armor. Why would you? Oh, Beowulf put on him, but like himself, his armor? That was fitting for an earl, and by no means did he lament over his life, for the hand-woven coat of mail, which was ample and of many colors, very important in battle, was destined to explore the deeps, and knew well how to defend his body. Step one when going swimming, adorn metal encasing. Helps the floating. So that neither battle grip nor the hostile grasp of the treacherous one might scathe breast or life, and the white helmet thereof warded his head, that which was destined to search out the bottom of the sea and the welter of waters, and which was adorned with treasures and encircled with noble chains, wondrously decked and set round with boar images, as in days of yore a weaponsmith had made it for him, so that no brand nor battle sword could bite him. Yep, you have to have it made before you can use it. But this suits him, right? All his bragging about fighting underwater, this is like right up his alley. Beowulf is a sailor. Okay. Beowulf is a sailor. And by no means was that the least of aids in battle that the spokesman of Hrothgar lent him at need, even the hilted sword, which was called Hrunting. And it was one of the ancient treasures. Its edge was of iron and poison tipped. You know, in D&D, like in some versions, you can just get called evil for that, because using poison is evil. And hardened in battle sweat. Just harden it in cold water when you forge it. And never did it fail in the fight any man who brandished it in his hands, or who dared to go on fearful journeys to the field of battle. Hello, Neff. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for the raid. You've come to Sid during an angry moment. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Neff, I hope I hope your stream went well, friend. What were you reading? For those of you, while we wait for Neff to answer, my name is Sidoen. I am the librarian of this library you see in the background. We're in one of the reading rooms. Tonight, we're reading and being very angry at Beowulf. Even though it has been translated to, modern prose, it is a piece of garbage. I am very, very angry at it. Never read. I'm struggling with this stupid thing. I hate it so much. You read Belwulf in English school literature. I apologize for your suffering. You finished the last of the Holmes short stories in the compendium we were on. It was solid. Good. I'm glad you have a solid story, friend. That's that's more than I got. This thing has names that come out of left field, sudden contextual changes without the context, and just everyone's so fucking wise. Anyways, did we do a shout out? I forget if we do the shout out. Okay, cool. I forget what I have. I've changed the way shout outs work in here. I have, Raiders get shouted out, and then I just deleted the rest of the auto shout out thing because that was just messy as heck. And so we just did, just other stuff, just manually other stuff. You think about doing Goeth's Faust? Sorry, I'm going to make fun of every word I don't know how to pronounce, which might be the same level of difficult. Don't do it. Save yourself. It's like, actually, your voice acting, this wouldn't be too hard for you. Neff, for everyone who doesn't know Neff, he does voices. I fail very much at voices, but Neff does the voices. You wouldn't have much to do here, Neff. There's like 3 different people who speak. I'm on chapter 21, maybe 2021. I can just look. This is super small. Yeah, chapter 21. And actually, Hrothgar spoke a bunch of times. Beowulf bragged a bunch. And then, 2 other people talked. I don't know. But, yeah. Welcome in. Now, go get yourself a snack or something, buddy. I think there are a total of maybe 7 characters that speak. Yeah. You wouldn't need to do too many voices, and most of it you just have to act like you're boasting or like kissing boots and licking ass. it's all dialogue. It's a play. Oh, I see. Nothing but voices. I gotcha. Yeah, go get a snack, relax, chill out. I'm going to continue reading and being angry at this story, but in a polite voice. So this is reading and a lot of reacting. To play the devil? Oh, are you reading with someone, or is it just you just get to play the devil because he's the character? It is always a win. Yeah, it is. You gotta appreciate a good devil. The only honest character. All right, we're going to continue reading. Everyone, please settle in. I'll try not to be too much of a buzzkill. To get alone, most likely regardless. You're right. Yeah, gotta go potty. I read, you lurk. Yeah, get yourself a nice snack. It's nighttime. It's time to relax. I had today off, so I have to go to work tomorrow, though. Get all the anger and frustration and fury out. Wise fury and I can swim under sea in my full mail armor and kill the fear. Yes, it's Beowulf is a sailor. He does a lot of fighting underwater in full armor. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people can do that, and live anyways. Okay. All right, we continue. The end of chapter 21. A whole 4 paragraphs. All right, who dared to go on fearful journeys to the field of battle? And that was not the first time that it was to do deeds of courage. And Unferth did not think he the kinsman of Ecglaf. Ecglaf? I forget if that G was silent or not. Crafty of strength, of what he formerly had said. When drunken with wine, he had lent that weapon to a braver sword warrior. He himself durst not risk his life in the stress of the waters and do a glorious deed, and thereby he lost his doom of famous deeds. But thus was it not that was not with that other, for he had got himself ready for the battle. See what I mean? those 2 or 3 sentences kind of don't work together. He's too scared to use his own weapons, so it gives them away. That's what I get from that. Anyhow, chapter 22. Beowulf spake. The son of XVIII. XVIII. There's no G. There's a G, but you can't hear it. Rashi, praise be the father of Sidoen. Yes, the wise Sidoen. The wise. Don't forget the wise. And good. Wise. The wise, good Sidoen. Yes, that's right. I cry inside. Oh, kinsmen of. Oh, right. Halfdanny. Halfdanny. I got the beginning of that messed up. Thou far famed and proud prince, thou gold friend of men. Gold friend, like, if you're the gold friend, that means the friends or the men here, they must be like good weather friends. As long as you have gold, I'll be your friend. Now that eager I am for this forth faring, bethink thee now of what we two were speaking together, that if I should lose my life through helping thee in thy need, thou wouldst be always to me in the place of a father after my death. Be thou a guardian to my kinsmen, my thanes, and my hand comrades, if battle should take me. And dear Hrothgar, send thou the gifts which thou didst give me to. Oh, right. Heliak. I think that's Beowulf's dad. You don't pronounce the G. Heliak. That's butchered too. And the Lord of the Geats, which I don't know if Geats is the right way to say it, but we're just running with it. The son of Hrethel. When he looks on the treasure and perceives the gold, will see that I found a giver of rings, one good and open-handed, and that while I could, I enjoyed the treasures. And do thou let Unferth, the man who is far famed, have the old heirloom, the curiously wrought sword with its wave-like device, with its hard edge. I work out my fate with Hrunting, or death shall seize me. So Hrunting is Beowulf's sword. He owns that sword, right? Another raid. Wow, everyone's raiding on Angry Night. Hello, Lucian. Hello, Lucian's people. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sidoen. I am the librarian. This is my library. Well, a reading room in my library. How are you doing, Lucian? What were you playing? You're playing that, you're playing Nier Automata this time. Oh, okay. How'd that go tonight? A woo raid. A woo raid. We're reading and being angry at Beowulf tonight. Yeah, we're about, let's say, a third of the way through. Yeah, like an hour and 15 minutes to go. I hope you made progress. Did you start midway, finish the game? We are struggling through Beowulf, and yeah, we're going through bouts. Doing good. I'm a little. I think making fun of the story as we speak is helping my mood. That was a lovely time, but now you have much to grind off stream before you wrap up. Oh, what was that other game you were playing? The one you really liked. Vlana, do you remember what it was called? I don't remember. Oh, thank you for the lurk. Neo, that's right. That's the, yeah, you were super excited about that game when we rated you a little while ago. Well, thank you for coming tonight and bringing your community here. Which translation am I using? This is the modern prose one is kind of what I know about it. So even though it's quote unquote modern English, and I'm doing air quotes. Can you see the air quotes? You can't see the air quotes. Modern English. It's yeah, modern is an interesting way to describe it. Certainly not modern grammar, or sentence structure, or storytelling, or context switching. I can forgive I can forgive the crazy names. The names are kind of awesome. I just struggle a lot with them because they're not obviously normal English. Well, actual modern English names and pronunciations, they follow different rules for pronunciation. So fair. But come on, just the rest of the story is all over the freaking place. So having a time. Yeah, we're having a time, man. Yeah, no, if you like Beowulf, man, all the power to you. I'm struggling with it. But that's okay. I don't like it, but I don't like I read these books to find this out too. Yeah, it's a huge raid. Rar. Welcome in, Rar. How long have you been here? Yeah, I read these books because I have not read these. I did my high schooling in Australia, and I've come back to Canada. When I met Valana's like, hey, all these books that she's read, I have no clue about. And also, a lot of modern media references a lot of this stuff, and I have no idea about any of it. So I'm reading it for my own education and sort of cultural context, I guess, if that makes sense. You've been lurking trying to get stuff done, but you put off all day. Oh yeah, you put it off all. I wonder, was Rar busy today? I wonder what Rar was up to instead of working. And I'm angry, aggressive. I'm sorry. It's Beowulf's fault. Thank you for the follow, Graves. Much appreciated. Oh, Rar, I have an export from StreamerBot that I'd like to give you, which is kind of the modifications I made to the list creator that we were talking about earlier. I'll send that to you later, unless you really don't want it. Yeah, Rar had a better time playing RE8 than I'm having reading. Double Sidoen lurking. Sidoen, wow, double lurked. Is that like, at what point does extra lurking become criminal? Do we need to call the authorities? I don't know who the authorities are. Gwen, my cat, moderators. Oh, stand up. Okay, thank you. I'll stand up and flex. All right, I'll do this in order. Oh, someone's excited. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's good to stand up and flex the old joints. All right, and I'll hydrate. Thank you. Oh, thank you for the hydration. Really, I wouldn't mind taking a look. I don't want you to feel like you're just. No, man. It's just a few things, right? It's a few basic stuff. I have set up word canceling in my stream now. I can do it fairly simply, but yeah, if you want to do something similar, you can just like change a file pathway, keywords, fix it into other things you want to do. It's the basics. It's just the basics. I, sir, shall look after myself. Old men must do so. All right. Let me continue. Where on earth was I? Chapter 22. Beowulf spake. All right, we did some of that. Like device. I'm gonna have to delete that chapter marker. We're actually way further down than I thought. See, with this hard edge, I work out my fate with, Hrunting or death shall seize me. Hrunting is Beowulf's sword. I think he was gifted that not directly after killing Grendel, but like for something else after that, perhaps? I'm not sure. Queen, welcome in. Yes, many raids. We have been much raided. The Arion one will discover how much of a bitter old angry man I am. A head pat. Oh, thank you for the head pat. It's actually, it's kind of hurting my forehead. That's a lot of rubbing. I have old skin too. It's only so much of it's going to be there. I'm going to go to bald. You notice that, right? It's like kind of like if you could see under the hand, it's getting It's getting thin up there. Oh dear. Okay, attempt number. Some moisturizing. You're okay. I see. High friction moisturizing. Excellent. Is it a long head pat? Should I shorten that? I don't. Maybe that's the problem. You can see kind of like pulling back there a little bit, and like that's with like the VTuber being generous with my hair too. It's a hair stimulation. Oh, it's a massage. It's a scalp massage. It's hair stimulating. Fingers crossed. Get like 3 seconds of each. Oh well, maybe if I become a bigger streamer, they'll have to like proportionally be shrunk. There you go. Or maybe I need more scalp massaging. Okay, let me read. We could talk for another hour before I finish stream too, but I make promises about my stream, I guess. Or hunting, yeah, hunting is the art, right? Beowulf, or death shall seize me. After these words, the Lord of the Wettergeats courageously hastened, and by no means would he wait for an answer. The whelming sea received the battle hero, and it was a days while before he could see the bottom of the sea. He swam down for a whole day? That's some crazy lung capacity. Crazy. Lucky. Oh, and now we have ads starting, so we're going to pause for ads now. I wouldn't want people to miss out on the fun, cheerful, bright expressions and opinions I have to share about Beowulf. We will break for ad. We'll be gone for 3 minutes. We will continue thereafter. See you shortly. Be back after these messages. Yeah, no, Valana, you're gonna have to get me like pastries and treats and shit. I'll do it. Still in ads? How did you hear me? Oh, of course, Gwen shouted. Why are you still in ads? You returned. Yay. Oh, okay. So there's it's just a few seconds off then, I guess. That's going to be Twitch for you. I have found, yeah, Twitch is finicky. Not just finicky, but also a big fat liar. There's an ad manager, right, that we can see when we stream, and it's always close, but it's within a few minutes. I've done a little bit of testing with the API that StreamerBot can take advantage of. Anyway, I'm sure many other systems can too. You had 6 ads. I have it set to. Oh, by the way, thank you for the follow, Comment Guy, and welcome to the channel for the first chat time. It's I have it set up. There is an API that will give you a warning, either 1, 2, 3, or 5 minutes. So I set up for a 1 minute warning. And it then tells me, so I set up a little incoming ad timer bar at the top there. Whenever it's incoming, whenever we are predicting an ad to show up, it's wrong by a factor of 2. However, 1 minute is 2 minutes, in fact. So I just have that hard coded into my code. Yeah, get appreciated, nerd fella. Thanks. If I have to. Sorry, yeah. Sorry about handle. Probably the same thing, right? The same API, exactly the same API. But we are all beholden to the Twitch API, I suppose. But the ad break banner has been fairly reliable. I don't know why one is off and the other isn't, but here we are. We have the tools that we have, so we make good use of them. It's pretty close. I think it's pretty close. I'm happy where it's at. Like 6,000 other things under StreamerBot that stuff just grows. I first implemented that. I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Auto shoutouts. And now that's morphed like 12 times too. And 100 other things have been added in. Such a useful program. Pennies is still pennies. That's right. Pennies is still pennies. If it keeps the Twitch, if it keeps the Twitch servers going, I'm fine with that. We don't have to pay to stream. And I think that's the real value of those ads. Like I got paid like my first, was it $66 since starting streaming. I was kind of like, now I have to do taxes on that in a year. That's my gripe. All right, where are we? After these words, the Lord of Wettergieds courageously hastened, and it was a day's while before he saw the bottom of the sea. That's right. And very soon, the fierce and eager one who had ruled the expanse of the floods for 100 years, she, the grim and greedy, saw that a man was searching out from above the dwelling of strange monsters. Then she made a grab at him and closed on the warrior with dire embrace. But not at first did she scathe his body, and safe and sound. Right, but not at first did she scathe his body, safe and sound. That doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, thank you for the lurk. Not really interested in doing taxes once you make about $600 or more. They don't really give you tax forms. I think I have to add it in as part of my income. I have a full-time job. I have a, this is not a, the only income that I have, of course, we do pay taxes, but you know, my answer to that is Valana, and actually her mother handles my taxes. I'm very lucky that way. I don't even really have to think about it. But yeah, if the government comes around and says, "Hey Sid, by the way, you're missing $66 in your income," be like, "Oh, whoops, okay, let's just fix that," and it probably won't be a big deal. That, or I'll pay a proportional fine for $66, and I'm okay with that too. The rings surrounded it on the outside, so that she could not pierce the coat of mail or the interlaced war shirt with loathsome finger. Then the she-wolf, who lives at sea, when she came to the bottom of the sea, bore the ring prince towards her house, so that he might not, though he was so strong in soul, wield any weapon. And many a wonder oppressed him in the depths. Many a sea beast broke his war shirt with his battle tusks, and monsters pursued him. Yeah, he killed Grendel like without weapons. He like beat him up or something. Then the Earl saw that he was in he knew not what hall of strife, where no water scathed him a whit, nor could the sudden grip of the flood touch him because of the roof hall. He saw too a firelight, a bright pale flame shining. Then the good man caught sight of the she-wolf, that monstrous wife, down in the depths of the sea, and he made a mighty rush with his sword. Didn't she drag you here? She dragged you down here. Why did you then, okay, anyways. Nor did his hand fail to swing it, so that the ringed mail on her head sang a greedy death song. Then Beowulf, the stranger, discovered that the battle blade would not bite or scathe her life, but the edge failed the lord in his need. It had suffered many hand blows, and the helmet, the battle dress of the doomed one, it had often cut in two. That was the first time that his dear sword treasure failed him. Then he became resolute, and not by any means did he fail in courage. That kinsman of Hyliak. I want to call it like glycerin. Yeah, highly glycerin. Anyways, mindful of glory. And this angry warrior threw away the stout sword, bound round with jewels, with its wavy decorations, and with its edge of steel, so that it lay prone on the ground, and henceforth he trusted in his strength and the hand grasp of might. So should a man be doing when he thinketh to be gaining long-lasting praise in fighting, and careth not for his life. Maybe care more about your life. By the way, everyone in chat, love yourself. Care about your life. It matters. You matter. Don't be like Beowulf. Then the lord of the Geats seized by the shoulder the mother of Grendel. Nor at all did he mourn over that feud. Oh, yeah, it was in brackets. There's always occasionally, there's some brackets, unnecessary side points. And he, the hard in battle he was, threw down his deadly foe when he was angry, so that she lay prone on the floor. But she was very quickly, with grimmest of grips, requited him a hand reward, and made a clutch at him. But she very quickly, with grimmest of grips, requited him a hand reward, and made a clutch at him. What does requited him a hand reward mean? And the weary in soul, that strongest of fighters, he, the foot warrior, stumbled and fell. Then she sat on that hall guest, and drew forth her axe, broad and brown-edged, which apparently she didn't start with. She didn't start the fight with this. She thought, maybe I'll just do it later, and would fain be avenging the death of her child, of her only son. Attacked him with her hand. Why is it a reward? She requited him a hand reward. What, like... Anyways. It's not a reward, is it? But on his shoulder was the coat of mail all woven, which saved his life and prevented the entrance of the point and the edge of the sword. It was an axe, and the son of XXIII, of the prince of Geats, would have surely gone a journey under the wide earth, and thus that warlike coat of mail had given him help, which is why it was there, that hard war net. We know what it is. And unless the holy God, he, the cunning Lord, and the ruler in the heavens, pointless hand waving to Christianity, had wielded the victory, and easily decided the issue aright, then he straightway stood up. So, Beowulf did nothing. God gets all the credit. Noted. Chapter 23. Then, among the weapons, he caught sight of a sword, rich in victories, an old weapon of the giants, the doughty of edge, the glory of warriors. It was the choicest of... You know what? We've had doughty show up like a lot in this story, and I'm kind of like assuming it doesn't mean donut. Definition. I'm thinking like it's some sort of... It's an adjective, brave and persistent. Yeah, that's kind of how it's been used. His doughty spirit kept him going. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to double check that. Kind of the context it's been coming in kind of alludes to that, but yeah, it is. And doughty, though the edge was brave. The sword, okay, it's a brave sword. The glory of warriors. It was the choicest of weapons, and it was greater than any other man could carry to the battle plain. And all glorious and good, a work of the giants. And he seized it by the belted hilt. He, the warrior of the Danes, rough and battle grim, and he brandished the ring sword. And despairing of life, which he didn't care about, remember, he didn't care about that, he angrily struck so hardly he grasped at her neck and broke the bone rings. And the point pierced through the doomed flesh covering. And she fell on the floor. The sword was all bloody, and the man rejoiced in his work. Shone forth the bright flame, and a light stood within, even as shineth the candle, so it's not very bright, from the bright heavens. Yeah, candles are not that bright. And then he looked on the hall, and turned to the wall. And the Thane of Heliac, nope, I want to say Hygelak, but it's Heliac, angry and resolute, heaved hard the weapon, taking it by the hilt. and the edge was not worthless to the battle warrior, for he would be quickly requiting Grendel many a war rush which he had done upon the West Danes. Many times oftener than once, when in sleeping he smote the hearth comrade of Hrothgar, and fed on them sleeping. Of the Danish folk, some 15 men, and bore forth yet another one, that loathly prey. And well he requited him, this furious champion, when he saw the war-weary Grendel laying in death, all void of his life, as formerly in heart the battle had scathed him. Is he remembering stuff now? Yeah, I don't know, Lily. Welcome in, but I'm reading Beowulf, and I have not really got a clue what's happening half the time. I have a general story. Right now, Beowulf is fighting the mother of Grendel, who oddly doesn't have a name. You think she would have a name? She's like stronger than Grendel. Like Beowulf killed Grendel with his bare hands. And then we had like a couple hours of like giving rewards to him, I guess. I'm struggling with like English. That's right. We've been getting no name. That's not true. There's a queen with a really hard to say name that I've just been kind of like up past. Deliberate word flubs. His body sprang apart when after his death he suffered a stroke, a hard battle swing, and then he struck off his head. That sentence on its own is very confusing. Don't bonk me. What did I do? I'm trying. And fuck, 794, that's rough. It's very stinky. That is not very nice. Here's check something. Wow, Lily. Maybe have a shower. You might need one. Thank you, Gwen. I appreciate your opinion, Gwen. She was here a second ago. She is now. Of course, my cat will take my side. Where the hell was I? Oh, yes. He just chopped off his own head after winning. That's kind of what I take away from that. Right soon the proud warriors, I thought there was only one, they who with Hrothgar looked forth on the sea. Oh, we're at the surface again. By the way, it took Beowulf like a day to swim down to where the mother was. And then she grabbed him, yanked him into her like air cavern or her hull under the water. And then when he saw her, because apparently he lost her when they came into the hall, and then he attacked her. I don't know, man. He's got lungs. The boy's got some heroic lungs. I see you, Gwen. Oh, she brought her toy. You know I'm streaming, right? Ready? This toy is so soggy. And off she goes. I'm sure I'll get that a few more times. Anyways, let's read. Oh, she's so cute. She just brought it back. Gwen, no more. Hold on. After stream, okay? After stream. Right. Let's see. Right soon the proud warriors, they who with Hrothgar looked forth on the sea, could easily see that the surging water was all stained with blood, and the grey-haired ancients spoke together about the good man, that they deemed not the atheling would ever again come seeking the famous prince Hrothgar, glorying in victory, for it seemed unto many that the sea-wolf had destroyed him. You're not having a good night there, are you, Lily? Then came noonday. The valiant Danes left the headland, and the gold friend of men went homeward thence. And the strangers, the Geats, sick in mind, sat and stared at the water. They knew and expected not that they would see again their liege lord himself. Then the sword began to grow less after the battle sweat, out into icicles of steel. There was a sword? from the sprit, and a wonder if it was that it all began to melt likest to ice. When our Father doth loosen the band of frost and unwinds the icicles, he who hath power over the seasons, he is the true God. Nor in these dwellings did the Lord of the Geats take any other treasure, though much he saw there, except the head and the hilt, decked out with jewels. The sword had melted, and my cat is freaking out on the ground, and the decorated weapon was burnt up. Like the giant weapon? Don't freak out! You meow at me. She really wants to play. Lily had a little victory. Awesome. Good work, Lily. The blood was too hot, and so poisonous the alien sprite who died in that conflict. Soon Beowulf was swimming. He who formerly awaited the onset of the hostile ones in the striving, and he dived upwards through the water, and the weltering surge and the spacious lands were all cleansed when the alien sprite gave up his life and this fleeting existence. I don't know who this sprite is. It shows up every so often. He, the stout-hearted, came swimming to shore. He, the prince of the seamen, enjoying the sea spoils, the great burden of that which he had with him. They advanced towards him and gave thanks to God, that glorious crown of thanes, and rejoiced in their Lord that they could see him once more. Then was loosed quickly from that valiant man both helmet and shield. They looted him. The sea became turbid, the water under welkin all stained with blood, and rejoicing in sprite. God damn it, cat. Sorry. She grabbed her ball. She is not done running. She is doing circles around my chair with the damn thing, making sure it's within her. She just like freaking out all over the carpet. You're so cute. Here, come on. Okay. You ready? Ready? She's earned it. Like, holy cow. Gwen's just going psycho, like afraid for my feet. Come on. One more time. When? Last time. There we go. What a great kitty cat she is. Yeah, here it comes back. Come on. Okay, no more kidding. Good girl. Come here. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for the head pat. And why am I not surprised you just put seamen into chat? Yes. Sea men. The men from the sea. Yes, obviously. Nothing else here. I don't know, maybe. Maybe's excited now too. Falana, what happened to... You know, it is like just after 9 when they get fed. Men see. Yeah, men... and also see. Seeing is now a verb, to go to sea. Right. And rejoicing in spirit, the brave men went forth with foot tracks and passed over the earth, the well-known pathways. When they went forth with foot tracks. Sometimes they go forth with foot wheels, but this time it's foot tracks. It's kind of strange. And passed over the earth, the well-known pathways. And a hard task it was for each one of those proud men to bear that head away from the sea cliff. 4 of them, with difficulty on a pole, were bearing the head of Grendel to the gold hall, until suddenly, valiant and battle-brave, they came to the palace. Because they moved the palace, you see, it was a little closer than they expected, so it was very sudden. 14 of the Geats marching along with their liege lord, who trod the field where the mead hall stood. Then this prince of the Thanes, this man so bold of deed and honored by fate. Okay, honored by fate. Fate does it now. This battle-dear warrior went into the hall to meet King Hrothgar. Then, over the floor where warriors were drinking, they bore Grendel's head, a terror to the earls and also to the queen. Which, sometimes those are different. The queen, I don't think, was intimidated by Grendel himself, perhaps, and men were looking at the splendid sight of the treasures, whilst being afraid of them, apparently. They have been fed, yes. It is that time. I heard you moving around. Chapter 24. And zoom! She, like, bashed her head running out the door. Beowulf spake, the son of XVIII. Lo. Okay, no. Who was the other person? Who was... That's not that one. Heliak. 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 I thought Heliak was Dad. Hello, Spooky Sushi. Welcome to the channel. I'm so confused. Where's story? Here's story. Beowulf spake. They don't speak, they spake. The son of XVIII. Lo, son of Hilofdeni, lord of the Danes. We have brought thee this booty of the sea all joyfully. This which thou seest as a token of glory. And I hardly escaped with my life, and hazarded an arduous task of war under water. Again, I might add, this is the sequel. This is like he's done this before. And nearly was the battle ended for me, but that God shielded me. With the equipment you took and put on, yep, that other people made for you. Nor could I in that conflict do aught with hunting, though the weapon was doughty. The weapons are brave in spirit, yes. Finally able to catch me, yeah, just here I am. Yeah, please get cozy. We're still going to be reading for, I think, another 40 minutes or so. I do have work tomorrow. We had the day off today, so there we go. Today we are reading Beowulf and being angry at it. But the ruler of men granted me to see hanging on the wall a beauteous sword, mighty and ancient. And in brackets, often he guides those who are bereft of their comrades. And I drew the weapon. And I struck in that striving the guardian of the house when I saw my chance. Then that battle sword that was all decked out burned up so that blood gushed forth, the hottest of battle sweat. None of those words make sense. He drew a sword and then it burned up, but because blood gushed forth from somewhere because of hot battle sweat. That's like a fever, right? That's like a crazy ass fever. But I bore off that hilt thence from the enemy, and wrought vengeance for their crimes, the deaths of the Danes, as it was fitting. And here I bid thee to take thy rest, all sorrowless in heart, with the troop of thy men and each of the thanes of thy people, the youth and the doughty ones. O Lord of the Danes, no longer needest thou fear for them, because of earls life bale as before thou didst. Then was the golden hilt, the work of the giants, given into the hand of the old warrior, the hoary battle chief. This work of the wondersmiths went into the possession of the Lord of the Danes after the destruction of devils. And when the man of the fierce heart, the adversary of God, guilty of murder, forsook this world, it passed to the best of world kings by the two seas. Of these who in Skedden Isle dealt out treasures. Hrothgar spake, and looked upon the hilt, the old heirloom on which was written the beginning of the ancient feud since the flood. The all-embracing ocean slew the giant race. When they bore themselves presumptuously, they were a folk strangers to the eternal God, to whom the ruler gave their deserts through whelming waters. Thus was there truly marked on the sword guards of shining gold, by means of rune staves, set down and stated by whom the sword was wrought at the first, that choicest of weapons, with its twisted hilt adorned with a dragon. So, that's a long sentence, a couple of sentences that started with Hrothgar spake, and then all that happened, he has not spoken yet. Then spake the wise man of the son of Healfdene, and all kept silence. So Hrothgar didn't speak at all. He just looked so, okay, wow, that's, you see why I hate this book? I hate this story. So Healfdene, and all kept silence. He who doeth true and right among the folk, and he who can recall the far-off days. He, the old protector of his country, may say that this earl was well born. Thy fair fame is spread throughout the wide ways, among all peoples, O my friend Beowulf. Thou dost hold all with patience and might, with the proud of mind. I will perform the compact as we two agreed. Thou shalt be a lasting aid to thy people, a help to the heroes. Not so was Heremod, to the sons of Egwella, the honorful Danish folk, for he did not become a joy to them, but slaughter and death to the Danish people. But in a fury he killed the table companions, his boon comrades, until he alone, the famous chieftain, turned away from human joys. And though the mighty God greatly exalted him by the joys of strength over all people and rendered him help, yet a fierce horde of hate grew up in his soul. No rings did he give to the Danes, as the custom was, and joyless he waited, so that he suffered troublesome striving, and to his people a long time was baleful. Do thou be learning by that example, and seek out manly virtues. I, who am old in winters, sing thee this song. And a wonder it is to say how the mighty God giveth wisdom to mankind through the wideness of mind, lands, and earlship. He hath power over all. Sometimes he letteth the thought of man of famous kith and kin be turning to love, and giveth him earth joys in his own country, so that he holdeth the key of refuge among men, and giveth him to rule over parts of the world, and very wide kingdoms, so that he himself foolishly never thinketh of his end. He dwelleth in weal, and neither disease nor old age doth deceive him a whit, nor doth hostile sorrow darken his mind, nor anywhere do strife or sword hate show themselves, but all the world doth go as he willeth. Chapter 25. These are very short chapters. He knoweth no evil until his share of pride wasteth and groweth, while sleepeth the guardian, the ward of his soul. And the sleep is too deep, bound up in afflictions, and the banesman draweth near, who shooteth cruelly his arrows from the bow. Then in his soul under helmet he is stricken with bitter shaft. Nor can he save himself from the crooked behests of the cursed ghost. And little doth he think of that which long he hath ruled. And the enemy doth covet, nor at all doth he give in boast the plated rings, and he then forgetteth and despiseth his fate, his share of honor which God before gave him, he the wielder of wonder. And in the end it doth happen that the body sinks fleeting, and doomed to death falleth, and another succeeds hitherto to joyfully distributeth the gifts, the old treasure of the earl, and careth not for terrors. Guard thee against malicious hate, O my dear Beowulf, thou noblest of men, and choose for thyself that better part of eternal wisdom. That better part, eternal wisdom. Have no care for pride, O glorious champion. Now is the fame of thy strength proclaimed for a while. Soon will it be that disease, or sword edge, or grasp of fire, or whelming of floods, or gripe of sword, or flight of arrow, or dire old age will sever thee from strength. Just to list a few. Or the luster of thine eyes will fail or grow dim. That's the same as old age. Then forthwith will happen that death will overpower thee, and thou, noble man. And I guess, it could be disease too. Thine eyes will fail or grow dim. That could be a disease rather than just old age. Thus have I for 50 years held sway over the ring Danes under the welkin, and made safe by war many a tribe throughout the world with spears and swords, so that I recked not any man my foeman under the sweep of heaven. Oh, I love that. I made peace by going to war. Makes sense, right? These are the wise ones. Lo, then there came to me change in my homeland, sorrow after gaming, when Grendel, that ancient foe, became my invader. And ever I bore much sorrow of mine through that feud. And may God be thanked, the eternal Lord, that I lingered in life, till I looked with mine eyes on that head stained with sword blood after the old strife. Go now to thy seat and enjoy the feasting, thou who art glorious in war, and when morning cometh there shall be a host of treasures in common between us. And the Geat was glad of mind, and soon he went up to the high seat as the proud chief had bidden him. Then renewed was fair chanting as before, mongst these brave ones who sat on the floor. And the helmet of night grew dark over men, and the noble warriors arose. The venerable king wished to go to his bed, the old prince of the Danes. And the Geat, the shield warrior, desired greatly to go to his rest. And straightway a Hallthane guided the far-comer, weary of his journey, he who so carefully attended to all his needs, such as the day the ocean-goers would fain be having. And the great-hearted one rested himself. The house towered on high, that was spacious and gold-decked. The guests slept within until the black raven heralded the joy of heaven. Then came the sun, hastening and shining over the earth. Warriors were hurrying, and athelings were eager to go to their people. The bold-hearted comer would visit the ship far away. He, the hardy one, bade the son of Ecglaf carrying forth hunting, which was destroyed, and commanded him to take his sword, that lovely piece of steel, which was didn't that melt? Isn't that the one that melted? And he gave thanks for the lending, and said he reckoned him a good war comrade and crafty in fighting. Not at all did he blame the edge of the sword. He was a proud man. Yeah, because the edge of the sword failed, right? He was a proud man. When ready for the journey were all the warriors, then Beowulf, the atheling, of good worth to the Danes, went up to the dais, where Hrothgar, the faithful and bold, had greeted him there. Chapter 26. The scroll bar is halfway down the page, and I feel like we're done. How much more of the story is there? Beowulf spake, the son of XVIII. Now we, the seafarers, that have come from afar, desire to say that we are hastening back to Hygelac. So I think I just literally relearned this word too. And here we have been nobly waited on, and well thou hast treated us. Oh, there's his death still? Oh. Okay. Maybe we'll just finish it. Maybe. And if I then on earth can gain a whit further greater heart love from thee, O Lord of men, than I have gained already in doing war deeds, hitherto I am right ready. And if I shall hear o'er the sheet of waters that terrors are oppressing those who sit round thee, as erewhile thine enemies were doing upon thee, I will bring here 1,000 thanes, heroes to help thee. And I know the Heliac, the high, excuse me, not that one. Hialak. Yes. And I know that Hialak, the lord of the Geats, the guardian of my folk, though young in years, will help me by word and works to bring thee honor and bear spear to thine aid, the help of strength. The help of strength if thou hast need of men. And if Hrithric, the prince's child, should ever take service in the court of the Geat, he may find there many a friend. It is better for him who is doughty himself to be seeking far countries. Hrothgar spake, and gave him answer. The all-knowing Lord doth send thee words into thy mind. Never heard I a man speak more wisely, so young in years. Thou art strong of main and proud of soul, and of words a wise sayer. I reckon that if it cometh to pass that an arrow or fierce battle should take away the children of Hrethel, or disease or sword destroy thy sovereign, the protector of the folk, and thou art still living. If you die but you're still living, that the Sea Geats will not have to choose any better king. Will not have to choose any better king. If thou wilt hold the kingdom of the kinsmen, thou hast brought about peace to the folk of the Geats and the Speardanes, and a ceasing of the strife and of the enmity which formerly they suffered. And whilst I am ruling the wide kingdom, treasures shall be in common between us, and many a man shall greet another with gifts over the sea. And the ring-necked ship shall bear over the ocean both offerings and love tokens. I know the two peoples to be steadfast towards friend and foe, and blameless in all things in the old wise. As a trade treaty. They just did a treaty. Damn it, Dale. My frustration is so validating. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone here. It's the language is poetic. The meaning is variable. That last paragraph, they just signed a trade treaty. That's what they just did. Yep. Then in that hall the Prince of Earls, the son of Healfdene, gave him 12 treasures, and bade him be seeking his own people in safety, and with the offerings, and quickly to come back again. Then the king, the Prince of the Danes, he of good lineage, in case you weren't clear, we're going to identify him 3 different ways, kissed the best of Thanes, and embraced his neck, and tears were falling down the face of the old man. And the old and wise man had hope of both things, but most of all of the other, that they might see each other. Might see each the other. Oh, for real. But most of all of the other, that they might see each the other, those thoughtful men in council. That was a malicious statement. The way those words were organized, that was on purpose and made by a hateful author. For Beowulf was so dear to him that he could not restrain the whelming in his bosom, but a secret longing fast in the bonds of his soul was burning in his breast against his blood. So Beowulf, the warrior, proud of his golden gifts, went forth o'er the grassy plain rejoicing in treasure. And the sea-goer was awaiting her lord where she lay at anchor. And as he was going, he often thought on the gifting of Hrothgar. He was a king, blameless in every way until old age, that scather of many bereft him of the joys of strength. What would he be blamed for? do you even call that? Reminds me of a geshallop with how wordy it is, but it's not. It's not. It's crazy wordy. Yeah, like the author, I can only assume, is trying to be maybe profound or like majestic, and just kind of like if you've ever read like the Christian Bible, like I think the King James version, it reminds me of that a little bit. There's a lot of wordiness and titles and how good everyone is and how wise they are, and just a lot of self-aggrandizing, and it is a little annoying. And by a little I mean a lot. By annoying I mean partially sometimes frustrating. And also the chapter's like 4 paragraphs long. How lazy is this? Chapter 27. So many a proud young warrior came to the seaside, and they were carrying the ring net, the interlaced coats of mail, and the ward of the shore noticed the going of the earls as he did their coming. Nor with evil intent did he hail the guests from the edge of the cliff, but rode up to them, and said that welcome in bright-coated warriors went to the ship to the people of the Geats. Then on the sand was a spacious craft laden with battle-weeds, the ringed prow with horses and treasures, and the mast towered high over Hrothgar's gifts. And he gave to the captain a sword bound with gold. Everything is gold too, like literally everything is just made of gold. So that by the mead bench he was by that the worthier because of the treasure and the heirloom. I guess like, yeah, treasure is gold. I guess that's fair. Let's give them that one. They're not going to battle with gold. You love and hate oldie writings. Ever read The Hunchback of... No, I haven't read the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I very poorly read, actually. That's why I'm doing a lot of these. Another wildly overwordy style. But you could make a colored map of the parts at the time. Oh, of Paris at the time? Down to the colors of the bricks. Oh. So if I can fit it... interesting. God, dong, don't. Yeah. No. I don't know if you were here earlier. I was explaining I did my high schooling in Australia. Ever since coming back to Canada, like I kind of missed that sort of high school year, like literally almost exactly high school. Like it was 1 grade in primary or elementary school that I did over there. But and even then, I could not tell you about the books that we were supposed to read in high school. I was a very, very poor student. But my wife, Valana, has been telling me about... You were... Okay. What did you read instead of these? Like I said, it's a rough one. Sorry, brother. Let's see. There were... And I'm nearly 50 years old. I don't remember this stuff. I'm surprised people remember stories from... It also doesn't help. I really did not read them. I hated that. I hated reading back then. Whatever books I wasn't assigned, yeah. It's, a lot of Australians, like the Drizzt series. I read those. Not exactly assigned by the school, for sure. It should have been, though. Holy crap. The librarian once introduced me to science fiction, because that was a bit earlier. But I kind of really liked that. She saw I was kind of struggling. I didn't have a very good social... I didn't know how to socially interact with people at school. I had no friends. That caused other problems. But the librarian kind of said, hey, why don't you read this book? And it was science fiction. I don't remember what it was, but it was super awesome. I asked her for more books. I spent a lot of my time in the library after that, just reading science fiction. And when I got into high school, I would take these books into class and literally read them in class. I would hide it at first, and then I would stop caring, and I would just I just openly read my own science fiction books. Teachers were not very impressed at all. You read The Bond on your own time? I do reading streams in order to have time to read now. This works out really well for me. The bond. The bond. I don't know how to pronounce capital letters. Sounds like James Bond. The bond. Right. Anyways, sorry. Where was I? I have to find where I was because the wind hindered the journey. I don't think it's that far. The ring prow with horses and treasures, and the mast towered high over Hrothgar's gifts. And he gave the captain a sword bound with gold, so that by the mead bench he was by, and so that by the mead bench he was by that the worthier because of the treasure of the heirloom. And he gave the captain a sword bound with gold, so that by the mead bench he was by that the worthier because of the treasure and the heirloom. So that by the mead bench he was by that the worthier because of the treasure and the heirloom. Revoke your library privileges. They just like, I never got expelled, but I got suspended a lot. And there was another sort of, before you get suspended, kind of something called a timeout, where you spend literally a day's worth of periods just sitting in a room looking at a corner. Yeah, like schools don't know how to discipline children whatsoever. Yeah, that sentence is like epic fail. It is wild. Then he went on board, the deep water to be troubling, and finally left the land of the Danes. And by the mast was one of the ocean garments, a sail fast by the rope. The sea wood thundered, nor did the wind hinder the journey of that ship. The wind normally accelerates your journey. The ocean goer bounded forth, the foamy necked one, over the waves, the bound prow over the ocean streams, till they could see the cliffs of the XVIII land, the well-known headlands. Then the keel thronged up the shore, driven by the wind, and stood fast in the sand, and the harbour master was soon on the seashore, who of yore eagerly had seen from afar the going forth of the dear men. He had made fast the wide-bosomed ship by the anchor chains, so that the less the force of the waves could tear away that winsome ship. He commanded the treasure of the nobles to be borne up the beach, the fretted armor and the plated gold. And not far thence it was for them to be seeking the giver of treasure. Hyliak. Nope. Again, got it wrong. Herethel's son, for at home he dwelleth, and he and his companions near to the sea wall. And splendid was that building, and the prince was a bold king, and the halls were high and high. Hygid? This is a woman's name. Hygid, his wife, was very young, as is important detail, and wise and mature in her figure. Another very, very important detail. She's mature in her figure, though the daughter of Hereth had bided in that city but a few years. But she was not mean, nor niggardly of gifts and of treasures to the people of the Geats. Fascinating storytelling. by Thrytho. But Thrytho was fierce, for she had committed a terrible crime, that bold queen of the folk. There was none that durst risk that dire thing of the dear companions, save only her lord, that he should stare on her with his eyes by day. But if he did, he might expect that death bands were destined for himself. For after the hand grip a weapon was quickly prepared, that the sword that was curiously inlaid should bring to light and make known the death bale. Nor is it a queenly custom for a woman to perform, though she might be peerless, that she should assail the life of a peace wearer of her dear lord after a pretended insult. At least King Offa, the kinsman of Hemming, checked her in that. But otherwise, said the ale drinkers, namely that she did less of bale to her people and of hostile acts, since the time when she was first given all decked with gold to the young champion, to her dear lord, since she sought the hall of Offa over the fallow flood by the guidance of her father, where on the throne, whilst she lived, she well did enjoy her fate. That woman famous for good works. Oh, XXIII. And she kept great love for the Prince of Heroes. And of all mankind he was, as I have learned by asking, the greatest by 2 seas. For Offa was a spear-keen man in gifts and in warfare, and widely was he honored. And he ruled his people wisely, and to him and to Thrytho, Eomer, good, we have a last name, excellent, was born to the help of heroes. He, the kinsman of Hemming, the nephew of Garmond, was crafty in battle. And suddenly, chapter 28. Then the hardy one himself, with his troop, set forth to tread the seashore, going along the sands, the wide sea beaches. The candle of the world shone, the sun that was shining from the south, and joyfully they journeyed, and with courage they marched along to where they heard by inquiring that the good Prince of Earls, the banesman of Ongethow, the young war king, was giving out rings within the city, and quickly was made known to Heliac, Heliac is what it's going to be now, the coming of Beowulf, that he, the prince of warriors, the comrade in arms, was returning alive and hale from the battle play, was coming to the palace. And straightway there was room made for the foot guests on the floor of the hall by command of the king. And he that had escaped scot-free from the contest sat with the king, kinsman with kinsman, and the lord with courteous speech saluted the brave man with high swelling words. And the daughter of Heareth poured forth from the mead cups throughout that great hall, for she loved well the people, and carried round the drinking stoups to each of the warriors. And Heliac began to question his comrade, as curiosity prompted him as to the journey of the sea Geats. How went it with thee, dear Beowulf, in thy faring, when thou didst bethink thee sudden to be seeking a contest o'er the salt waters in battle at heart, and thou didst requite the widely known woe which Hrothgar was suffering, that famous lord, and I brooded o'er that mind care with sorrow whelmings, for I trusted not in the journey of the dear man. And for a long time I bade thee not a whit to be greeting the murderous stranger, but to let the South Danes themselves wage war against Grendel, and now I give God thanks that I see thee safe and sound. To which Beowulf slowly sipped his beverage, looked curiously at him, wondering if he had already had too much to drink, and didn't know what he was saying. Or, in the original story, Beowulf answered, the son of XVIII. Oh, we have ads again already? Holy crap. Too much talking. Alright, the original story is going to have to wait for 3 minutes, I guess. Can you die soon? Like, how many chapters do we have? We are at 4 hours. Oh man, I gotta finish this another night. How many chapters do we have? We have like a lot of chapters. Do you know, like, the most painful part of editing these reading stories is probably, oh, we only have like, oh, XL, what's that, 53? XL 111? Yeah, we're not finishing tonight. We're gonna wrap up. We have ads in 10 seconds, so we are gonna do ads. And then I'll say goodbye. I'm so sorry to not post this one. Maybe we don't post this one. We got to finish reading it though, right? We got to finish reading it. We do have ads coming in I guess, what's that look like? A minute? I gotta find where I was already. Okay. We come back. We will finish this chapter. It's like technically a paragraph. You know, it's a full page. And then we will wrap up. And you know what? I can't not finish this one. I'm not being nice to it, but I think we will finish this and maybe start our next novel after it. We'll see. We shall see. We're going to finish this. We're definitely going to finish this, right? We'll see everyone shortly. Okay, let's top up. Let's top up the stream. Where were we? Beowulf answered, the son of XVIII. O Lord Hygelac, I'm not even trying. Hygelac, it is well known to many a man our famous meeting and the battle we fought, Grendel and I, on the wide plain. Wasn't on the wide plain, it was in a hall, when he was working great sorrow to the Danes and misery forever. Okay, he's failing the forever part. All that I avenged, so that no kinsman of Grendel anywhere on earth needed to boast of that uproar by twilight. No, not he of that kindred who liveth the longest, encircled by the fen, and first to greet Hrothgar. I went to the ring hall. And straightway the famous kinsman of Healfdene, it's a half-denny, when he knew my intention, gave me a place with his own son, and the troop was all joyful. Nor ever have I seen greater joy amongst any hall dwellers under the arch of heaven. Sometimes the famous queen, the peace bringer of the folk, walked over the whole floor and encouraged the young sons. And often she gave to the men a twisted ring ere she went to the high seat. And sometimes, for the noble band, the daughter of Hrothgar carried the ale cups to the earls at the end of the high table. And I heard those who sat in that hall calling her Friaru. I wonder if that's where Freya comes from. Friaru. I wonder if the W is silent. Friaru. Anyways, as she gave the studded treasure to the heroes. And she, young and gold-decked, as is everything, is betrothed to the glad son of Froda. The friend of the Danes and the guardian of the kingdom has brought this to pass, and taken that counsel, so as to set at rest by that betrothal many a slaughter feud and ancient strife. I'm finishing the chapter, that's all. And often it happens, for anyone listening to that, I'm responding to Valana, who's thought we were wrapping up. And we are. We have like 3 sentences to go. And often it happens that a little while after the fall of a people, the deadly spear seldom lieth at rest, though the bride be doughty. And this may displease the lord of the Heathobards, and all of his thanes of the people, when he with his bride walketh over the floor, that his doughty warriors should attend on a noble scion of the Danes. And the air, I suppose that's just scion, isn't it? The C is actually silent. On a noble scion of the Danes, and the heirloom of the ancients should glisten on him, all hard, and the ring sword, the treasure of the Heathobards, whilst they may be wielding weapons. That random spot is the end of a chapter, so we'll stop there too. I did say I was going to do that, right? I think so. Holy crap. 29? That's chapter 29 we're up to. Gonna have to get better at reading Roman numerals because, yeah, they're kind of brutal with that. They just go up and up and up. Awesome. Those people who like, appreciate, or enjoy Beowulf, good for you. My opinion is different, but that is not a judgment on you. Nor should the assumption be that I would judge anybody else their opinion for their opinion of something that I do or don't like. Yeah, I just want to make that clear. You do you. Love everybody, except the author of this book, this story. But let's see. We are going to move on. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I don't think like last Monday we did a game, which was a VN. So I kind of like that was the excuse. It's a reading stream because I'm reading a virtual novel, a game that a friend of ours made. So it has been a little while since we've read the story, if you will. And next Monday we will continue this, and we probably only have part of a stream for this, so it'll also be the first time where we finish one story and then probably set up and start the next one, which will be kind of interesting. So maybe we'll do like a special marker for that, Valana, so I can denote it properly. And what that story will be is yet to be determined. We're down to like 3 other stories listed, so maybe it's time to start looking at extra ones. Perhaps. In the meantime, Bughorse is streaming again? Interesting. I thought she streamed earlier today. That is not... I wish I could filter by language. I have nothing against other people's language, but I can't read or understand it, so that's a thing. That's against me, I suppose, really. That person's name is all question marks. Don't like that. What are we doing next? What is this, Monday today? Like, man, it feels like the weekend still. Wednesday is our next stream. Oh, Thursday. It will always be Wednesday in my brain, but Thursday is our next stream. We are probably doing Helldivers 2 again, probably. I do want to go back to Wilds at some point for maybe just go back and forth or something, but for now I think probably do Helldivers 2. There's not a lot of pages here, is there? Alright, cool. Let's just go and harass this other person that I know a lot of our community likes. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Alright, awesome. Here we go.